23 Miller Lite Minnesota Vikings Draft Party on the Fan. Looking to add picks and fill roster spots has been on the minds of Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell and GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah all offseason.
Kevin and I, these aren't things you just kind of decide in the moment. You have to have plans. You have to have strategy.
Tonight, Vikings fans hope to find some of those answers. Let's go live to U.S. Bank Stadium, along with Paul Charchian and former Vikings Ben Lieber and Pete Bursich. Here is the voice of the Vikings, KFAN's Paul Allen.
The Delta Club at U.S. Bank Stadium. What's going on? Hey, all you Viking fans, how about it now? And we got a lot of purple and gold in here in the Delta Club, which is adjacent to the Minnesota Vikings locker room. Indeed, I am Paul Allen, joined immediately to my left by Paul Charchian, GuillotineLeagues.com. Can I get a witness for Charch? Former Minnesota Vikings linebacker, analyst on the Vikings Radio Network, and Twin Cities Live star, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Lieber. How about it now?
Hey, everybody!
Everybody! And to the far left from Vikings.com, and also a new father as of the last 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, Gabe Henderson, daddy to Gabriella.
All right.
And she's a beautiful little angel. The National Football League draft, that's why we're all here this evening. Over here, we have Bob Hagan, Robbie Rosenhaus, Tom West. Eric Nordquist is producing the draft show in the very quaint, intimate, fantastic Delta Club. How about this setup tonight? Round of applause for that.
Isn't this nice?
We got Jared Wells on the sound, and we welcome you to the presentation. Minnesota Vikings pick 23rd. We know that. Let's begin here. Gabe Henderson, the new daddy, you go first. What excites us and what excites you about this individual draft in its totality?
Well, one, being able to get out the house and get some sleep.
Yes, great answer.
First things first, but I believe that the most exciting part right now for me is this is another opportunity to see somebody's dream come true. This Minnesota Vikings team, their moniker is Dream Chasers. That's what Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has been saying all offseason. And then two, this is an opportunity for this Minnesota Vikings team to go best player available.
Yeah.
I know cornerback has been the talking point all offseason, but when you sign Byron Murphy and then you sign Jawan Williams, that puts you in a good enough position to go best player available. And I believe Vikings fans will be excited about whoever the Vikings pick at 23 if they stay there.
Ben Lieber, what excites you about tonight?
I like how you ended that. If they stay there, you give this whole meaty, juicy little thing, and you're like, if they stay there.
Hey.
Because that could be a possibility. The thing that excites me most about this particular draft, not just with the Minnesota Vikings, is I think there's going to be a lot of movement. I don't know about you guys, but I think that there's a lot of teams that I think before we even get to 23, there's going to be a lot of trades. There's going to be a lot of movement. There's a lot of intrigue. I mean, we're already discussing whether or not the Houston Texans are going to take a quarterback or they're going to go best defensive player, defensive line. Are the Cardinals going to trade back? If one of those two teams trade back, I think that's going to start this flurry of other teams wanting to trade around and get their pick as well. Because what happens is there become runs, as you know, Charch, there become runs on offensive tackles. There become runs on cornerbacks, wide receivers. And if they start seeing a run that they don't like, teams are going to move up and down.
At 23, we're going to get to learn a little bit more about Kwesi and what kind of personnel evaluator is he? We got a hint last year, but we didn't get to see very much of it play out on the field. So this is another opportunity to figure out what Kwesi's all about. What are the traits that he's really looking for? We think he likes freak athletes. We think he likes guys that have special character-defining traits that maybe other players don't have. And how does that materialize itself in this draft? And is that going to be the case? And, we had Rick Spielman for a decade. We really kind of locked into who Rick was and the kind of players that Rick coveted. We really don't know yet with Kwesi after 1 year and an incomplete from last year after all the injuries. We'll learn a lot more over the course of the next 3 days.
And what excites me is when the NFL draft is over this weekend, we are that much closer to training camp. Who knows? Maybe the scrimmage bit with a team coming in. Who knows? Just maybe. And then the preseason, then the regular season, and we started again. Now, who's in and who's out. And some names were mentioned in the first part of the draft show from U.S. Bank Stadium and the Delta Club. But just to catch you up, from a new Viking standpoint, in defensive ends Marcus Davenport and Dean Lowry, and of course defensive coordinator Brian Flores. Also new, cornerback Byron Murphy, wide receiver punt returner Brandon Powell. He was with KOC in Los Angeles. Cornerback Joe Juan Williams, linebacker Troy Reeder, and tight end Josh Oliver. Gone. Patrick Peterson, Eric Hendricks, Irv Smith Jr., Chris Boyd, Duke Shelley, Dalvin Tomlinson, Cam Dantzler, and of course, Adam Thielen. So the Vikings currently set at pick 23. Let's begin with Paul Charchian, and you guys just take it away, boys, and chop it up at 23. Not necessarily, let's start here. Not what you think will happen.
Yeah.
What you want to happen with the Vikings and their 23rd pick, and the fact they have 5 draft picks and some speculative players who potentially could be thrown into deals.
I would like to see a great defensive tackle fall to the Vikings. I think defensive tackle is an even bigger need than cornerback. If the Vikings hold at 23, it's because a special player has fallen to them and potentially at defensive tackle. And there's a couple of guys that I really would like to see fall, and not, you don't know how this is going to go, of course, at this stage. But if we can get Kalijah Cansey from Pittsburgh to fall, if we can get Brian Bruzzi to fall, I'm really interested in those 2 defensive tackles, because right now, that's the greatest position in need. And I can't tell you how this team stops the run at the moment. So to me, that would be a case for staying at 23. And if we're going to focus on 23 for a minute, that to me would be a best case realistic scenario.
Oh, Charch, I want to kiss you right on the mouth.
Hey, watch your language in front of the ladies, punk.
Not saying no.
It's the one thing I've been harping on this whole offseason is, we talk about cornerback and all this other stuff. We got to stop the run and get after the quarterback, the opposing quarterbacks. Everybody that gives us a hard time with their offense, they establish some sort of run game on us.
Right.
So you want that big Michigan guy?
No, I do.
Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie Smith's my guy.
Oh,
hey, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I still want a little bit more of a dynamic player than him, if possible. But I'm with you, Charge. You can maybe go get a cornerback if you get back in the second round or maybe a third rounder. But I think getting one of these high end, if they start falling, defensive linemen / edge players. You've already mentioned Cansey, Brazee from Clemson. I would love to see his counterpart and a little higher rated defensive lineman in Myles Murphy. If Myles Murphy decides if there's a slide with him down to 23, you absolutely sprint up to the podium and take Myles Murphy.
So let me ask you this. He's a defensive end. We have question marks at both of our defensive ends right now.
Yeah.
Based on what you know right now.
But they don't think they have question marks, or they don't sign Marcus Davenport and Dean Lowry and just give them 1-year prove-it deals. Those deals aren't the prove-it bits.
Yeah.
No, those deals are you guys are in, and it's a matter of whether it's 35 plays a game, 25 to 55. Or do you think I'm wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I just think that that shouldn't stop you from taking a guy like a Myles Murphy. Right,
I agree.
Play him somewhere, There are snaps to be had by everybody, and if you don't even if you don't feel like he's the true 3-down guy, well, he can be a rotational pass rushing demolisher up front. So you're going to get your value.
So I'm all on the defensive line, drafting a guy that kind of seals up the interior, but at the same time, if you don't get a guy that falls, there is still a huge void at wide receiver. Say what you want about Adam Thielen missing a step or being injured last year. One quality trait that went unnoticed with Adam Thielen last year was that he was a sure pass catcher. Yeah, KJ Osborne is going to be able to take another step, but who's going to be that other target for this Minnesota Vikings offense?
TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, but who's going to be able to stretch the field? Like a guy...
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson's not a stretch.
KJ stretches it.
But he's not a 4-3, he's not a Zay Flowers.
But getting a guy at 23, you think...
If Jordan Addison falls, yes.
But you don't think that finding a wide receiver, a speed wide receiver in the 3rd or 4th round would have as big of an impact?
Because you got to think about playing time too.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Jefferson, Osborne, and Hawkinson are going to play because they know the offense, and by the way, they're good. And Oliver doesn't get what he gets if he's not going to jump in there and play a fair share. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Kevin O'Connell throws the ball 60 times a game. Yeah, JJ and TJ, they'll get 10 or 15 targets a game, but at the same time, there is another receiver that has to get 70 catches plus his KJ 60 catches. So I believe a young receiver that can kind of, graduate, because KJ, this is his last year on his deal. So we'll see how that shakes out.
And, I can't speak for the cast. I'm negative on wide receiver at 23.
Okay.
And I can explain why later. But you said something to me the other day about wide receiver size. Now, I'm not into this at 23, but you made a very good point. Jefferson is 6'1", 190. KJ Osborne is 5'11". Jalen Naylor is 5'11". Brandon Powell's 5'8". And Jalen Reagor's 5'11".
Yeah.
So whatever receivers they find their way to, I mean, this sucker might need to be 6'2" or bigger.
Yeah, but that 6'2" or bigger better have some pass catching abilities and some I guess catching traffic. And I know a lot of people are kind of slotting Quentin Johnson, TCU receiver, to the Minnesota Vikings, but I'm not a big fan because he catches the ball with his body a lot. When you're a receiver, the first thing you look at is like, okay, how good is this guy's hands? And when I look at Jordan Addison or Zay Flowers, those are shorter guys, but they catch you with their hands. I can see T.J. Hockenson still being our deep red zone type of guy. You can throw it up to him, but at the same time,
I hope so.
Height is a big issue for this Minnesota Vikings team.
I hope so. We don't have a second-round pick this year because of it. He better be that, man. Charge?
So staying in 23 for a minute, the conventional wisdom is the Vikings are going to go cornerback. We have not really talked through that position yet on this show. That's the betting favorite, by the way, minus 200, I believe. The Vikings go cornerback in the first round. Give me a name for a cornerback who realistically could be there for the Vikings at 23 that you think would warrant that selection?
Deonte Banks would be there.
Yep.
I'm not sure that he would be a true outside guy. He's shown it. Cam Smith out of South Carolina, I probably like a little bit more, but I kind of think that you're stretching at 23 and a guy like Cam Smith.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah.
So, if it's not Witherspoon, which we know it's not going to be, and it's not going to be Gonzalez.
Nope, they'll be long gone.
If Porter's there, absolutely you could take him at 23. Outside of that, I think you're stretching a little bit to go after Banks and Cam Smith and guys like that, because I think those top three guys, requisite top 20 picks. Everybody else, I think there are fringe first rounders, second round and beyond.
Talk to me about the Mississippi State cornerback Emmanuel Forbes, because he's a fascinating study. He's a skinny little guy who's extremely fast, but he's got the ball skills you almost never see in a guy this fast. 14 interceptions, 35 pass breakups, 6 touchdowns on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fascinating study, but he's 166 pounds.
Yeah. My concern is, look, we just not lost. Cam Dantzler's gone. Whether we lost him or we got rid of him, your interpretation. They called him the needle because he was the same build. And I got to be honest, man. Like I don't want to use somebody else's situation and forecast it on somebody else. But you've got a lot of the same traits. He's coming from the same university, and I think this dude's even more high-hipped. I mean, you look at him on film and it's like his legs are forever long. You know? What was his height again?
I believe he's 5'10".
Okay, he's 5'10". His hips don't start. I mean, his legs are 5'3" of it. I mean, it's unbelievable. So like, I just look at his body type and I look at what he's done production-wise, and that's great. But Dantzler had a hard time with physicality at this level. He was tough as nails. He would throw his head in there. He'd make some tackles. He'd make some big tackles and with big impacts, but he'd get injured a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that Forbes is going to be the same way.
Hey, we have Gabe Henderson, Ben Lieber, Paul Charchian. I'm Paul Allen, U.S. Bank Stadium. We are in the intimate, quaint, and fantastic Delta Club adjacent to the field here at U.S. Bank Stadium. NFL Draft is yet to start. Vikings pick 23. At KFAN's Twitter site, at KFAN1003. At KFAN1003, we have a lot of interactive things that are taking place from the stadium and from the radio show, but also we have polls that are emerging every so often. And we have an easy first question, and it states, without being specific, what do you want the Vikings to do this evening? The options are trade up, get a quarterback, stay put, take best available, trade down, and we need picks. Ben Lieber, of those three options, trade up, get a quarterback, stay put, best available, trade down, we need picks. About 500 votes so far. Which one do you believe is leading?
The one I think is leading.
Yep. What's leading?
I think
41%.
trading back is probably leading.
Trading up and getting a quarterback is
that's
leading.
what they want. That's what the fans
That's what they want, but it all depends on what you're going to give up.
That's true.
To get him. I mean, I'm all for that. If you want to make a splash, fine, but don't leverage the total future for this guy.
Well, I mean, the Ben Gessling Star Tribune 7-round mock beat writer, very well respected. In his mock, with obviously at least a little bit of background information here to put it out there, he predicted the Vikings would trade from 23 up to 11 with Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
For quarterback Anthony Richardson. All right, so let's hypothetically speaking, with the Vikings having what they have with personnel and the 5 picks this year and whatever next year, but definitely a first-round pick next year, like to get from 23 to 11, if that really happens, what do you have to give up?
It's a big move.
You got to give up at least your first next year.
Your next year, your first next year's gone, and probably your
Maybe
third this year to go with it.
Wow.
And so, that would put the Vikings at 11. Now they're not going to pick again until the 4th round.
And then you got to be right.
But you might get a 5th this year also. But yeah, you got to be right.
Yeah.
You got to be right, and we won't know until the following year whether you're on.
Yeah, that's cool. We got to wait for the investment a year because the guy with the high completion percentage is still here, and then we got to be right. And by the way, on the way back, we're going to get Terrell Smith, cornerback from the Golden Gophers, who I love, and I hope the Vikings draft. It's like a 5th rounder. Like, whoa, this just seems weird.
There's one quarterback scenario that some fans have embraced. It's using pick 23 on Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker. I don't care for this move, but I'm curious about your thoughts. And you don't have to pay anything to move. You can just wait there, and he'll come to you.
I'm totally fine with that. I think of the 3 quarterbacks that the quarterbacks that I was watching outside of the top 2, the next 3 available, I think Hendon Hooker is the best player right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, yes, Will Levis has a high ceiling. Anthony Richardson has a higher ceiling. Okay, I'm all for that. But that there is a lot of question marks with the high ceiling mark. I think Hendon Hooker is a tough guy in the pocket. He played in a very quarterback friendly system, but he was accurate. He showed a lot of touch. I think he can make a lot of the throws. I don't look at his age and his injury as an issue at the quarterback position. If you're going to draft a soon-to-be 26-year-old defensive end or running back, then you say no.
Different story, right.
Different story. But if you get 10, 12 years out of this guy and he plays in his late 30s, that happens to quarterbacks all the time.
Yeah, and you got a decade of service. That's a win.
Service. Yeah, so that's a win. The age is not an issue with me. I think he's mature. I think he can handle it. I would be happy and fine if they took Hendon Hooker at 23.
Okay.
I would honestly trade back. I would probably trade with, the Bengals or someone at 28 because if you look at the Jaguars, Giants, Cowboys, Bills, none of those teams need a quarterback. So
right.
Hendon Hooker falls to me at 23. I'm trading back, getting more capital, and then getting the quarterback that I believe, like Ben said, is the 3rd best quarterback in this draft.
Yeah, funny how none of the teams that draft after Minnesota need a quarterback. None of them.
Well, and the teams at the top of the 2nd round won't need one either because they adjusted in the 1st round.
But how about
many
this?
cases,
The team right in front of the Vikings at 22, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's back in the mix.
Yeah.
So, I started bringing up today on the 9 to noon KFAN, even with Ben and Mad Producer over here. Well, don't be surprised if Baltimore at least considers giving up whatever to get Anthony Richardson. The offense is already, kind of tailor-made for the bid. But then Lamar has re-signed. So now that's one fewer team that's in need of a quarterback where there could be like 8, 9, 10, or 11.
And Baltimore signing Lamar Jackson may have a ripple effect on the Vikings picking next in that they need to replace Marcus Peters at cornerback.
Yeah.
And so they are very much in the cornerback market, and they're right before the Vikings, and so there could be some ramifications that way too.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I can see that still the Vikings, like I said before, I believe they did enough in free agency to go best player available, so you shouldn't have to reach for a cornerback that is, this top-tier guy. I believe
I can't. I'm not listening to best player available. The best player available is probably going to be a tight end. right? Michael Mayer, probably the best player available when the Vikings are picking.
Best skill guy available.
This is a defense that needs urgent help in a lot of places, really at every level. And to me, I don't think this team's got the luxury to take a tackle or a tight end. And there are just some spots to me that the Vikings are set in, and they don't have. This defense is just not good enough to have the luxury of best player available.
Now, the 2020 National Football League draft was widely considered into it as the greatest wide receiver draft in the history of the NFL, and it's paying itself off and bearing fruit for years to come. So now, as deep as this year's cornerback draft is, has anybody heard that this is one of the, if not the deepest corner drafts in the history of the NFL?
I have not heard that.
I have not heard that either. But I have heard this. I don't know about ever, like historically, but it is a deep class.
Well, that's a separator for me because, when we were at the Combine doing Vikings entertainment stuff and KFAN work, Ben and Paul, I mean, that's all we heard was it's unbelievable. And then you get like Gabe Davis and Darnell Mooney and these really good receivers going super deep in the draft. It's paying off, and that prognostication was right. What I'm getting at, we got JJ at 22 that year. Up top, the Alabama kid, CD in the middle, and then we get JJ at 22. We got 23 this year. So maybe pragmatically and simplistically, if it truly is that deep, maybe 23 just has to be a corner just to get one in that class.
I believe if it's that deep, you can find. I believe you can find a really good one in the third round. If this class is that deep, you can find a guy.
I agree. Because like off that theory, that 2020 wide receiver draft, look at it, watch this cornerback draft 3 years from now, it was that. I would take the Darnell Mooney of corners. I would take the Gabe Davis of corners. I would take T. Higgins of corners. You know what I'm saying?
I give you that.
Yeah, he just happens to be a K-State guy, and Julius Brent, 6'2", about 200 pounds. Right, he's right there in that third round, nice and juicy, just waiting for you. Big, long. I think he had the longest arm span of all the corners there.
Anthony Richardson, that's who you're talking about? Oh, my fault. My train of thought. I lost it. I'm sorry. Hey, Christian Darrisaw, left tackle for the Vikings, and/or Lewis Cine. The safety will be joining us up here at some point between 7 and 7:30. And at 8 o'clock, down memory lane we go with one of the great linebackers, defensive players, and tacklers in the history of Minnesota Vikings football, Scott Studwell will be here at 8 o'clock. Can't wait for that. And we will just walk you through the draft picks as teams navigate their way to the futures of franchises where, like as the NFC North goes, the Bears get first crack. They're at 9. Any inclination as to what Chicago might try to do to get better with Eberflus, Poles, and now new team president Kevin Warren, who used to be here. We'll get into that and much more. And the NFL draft will be starting within 15 minutes when we return to US Bank Stadium. That is Ben Leeper, Paul Charchian, Gabe Henderson. I'm Paul Allen, and we welcome you to the Delta Club at US Bank Stadium. We're going to have such a good time tonight. That was a lot of fun chopping it up with those boys for about 25 minutes. Once again, Christian Darrisaw and Lewis Cine should be joining us relatively soon from US Bank Stadium. NFL Draft 2023 on your home for Minnesota Vikings football, FM 100.3 KFAN.
Draft coverage tonight on The Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
KFAN, Total Traffic.
From the Quick Trip Traffic Center, here's a look at the roads. 35W going northbound out of the Burnsville split. It's 23 minutes into downtown Minneapolis. Southbound construction aggravating you. It's 28 minutes from the Forest Lake split into downtown. 35E, about 20 minutes either way between downtown St. Paul and Burnsville. The north end looks decent in both directions. Ongoing vehicle fire cleanup westbound on 694 at Central Avenue. That's traffic on The Fan, sponsored by Taco Bell. OMG, hot and crisp nacho fries are back at Taco Bell. but they won't be here forever. Yeah, hot and crisp fries covered in bold Mexican spices with a side of nacho cheese sauce are only here for a limited time at participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last.
Mother, pronounced
Mama. Mom.
Mom, where are the car keys?
She's a juggler of all things. This Mother's Day, celebrate her with fine jewelry from Shane Company. We have gifts in every price range, beautiful jewelry that'll make her smile. Not sure what to get Mom? Our classic styles make a great gift. Surprise her with a diamond necklace, an engravable locket, or lustrous pearls. Why not get her something colorful? We have an amazing selection of jewelry with colorful gemstones, from vibrant London blue topaz to sapphires in every color of the rainbow. Gold hoops are a lot of fun. She can wear them anywhere, to a soccer game or mom's night out. Shane Company's jewelry is designed by us, with attention to every detail, so you can be sure it's beautifully crafted and made to last a lifetime. Visit us for a Mother's Day gift wrapped with a bow and ready to give.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Distracted driving ruins hopes, dreams, futures, potential, careers, opportunities. Distracted driving could ruin lives. Drive smart.
Extra enforcement now on Minnesota roads. A message from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety.
Stained is coming to Treasure Island Resort and Casino. Blending rock and metal, the group catapulted onto the scene with hits like Outside, Right Here, and Fade. You can hear these and more when they rock Treasure Island Amphitheater on Saturday, September 9th. Get your tickets now at TICasino.com.
It's time for the Acme Tools Spring Tool Sale this Friday and Saturday. Save 12% on your favorite power tools, machinery, and accessories from over 100 of the world's best brands. Talk shop with factory reps and try before you buy. Take advantage of our daily doorbuster deals and register to win a prize package from Ego valued at $478. Don't miss the Spring Tool Sale this Friday and Saturday only at Acme Tools, 494 and Rockford Road, Plymouth. Do your best work.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell, dial pound 250 and say keyword great results. That's pound 250 and say great results.
To everyone who craves a fresh meal made just for you, let our team member Jacob share what's special about Culver's.
In Wisconsin, our food comes from the heart, and taking the time to handcraft your meal with care is how we've always done it at Culver's. It's why your Butterburger doesn't touch the grill until after you order, like our limited time Smokehouse Barbecue Cheddar Pub Burger. We know you'll love it.
Come to Culver's and let us serve you a Butterburger made special just for you. From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious. To everyone who craves a handcrafted treat, let our team member Sephora tell you about a Culver's favorite.
We make our thick and creamy fresh frozen custard in small batches all throughout the day. And we mean all day, every day. From our supremely rich shakes and concrete mixers to our freshly scooped dishes and cones, we handcraft every bite to pure perfection. Making you a sweet treat with care is the best part of my day.
Come to Culver's and get a taste of our fresh frozen custard.
From Wisconsin with love.
Welcome to Delicious.
I want to break free.
Ready to break free, Minneapolis? This summer, take your dream vacation with Norwegian Cruise Line to Alaska, Europe, and more. Book today and get 35% off all cruises. Plus, enjoy free airfare for second guest, free unlimited open bar, free specialty dining, and more. Visit ncl.com, call your travel advisor, or 1-888-NCL-CRUISE. Offer ends soon, Minneapolis. Norwegian Cruise Line. Feel free. Ships registry the Bahamas and USA. Restrictions apply.
When I started, it was just me and my tools. Now, while my team is out working, I'm running the business. Couldn't do it without Stacy from Choice Bank. Wouldn't have time to pick up the musical Saw either. She put together financing to fuel our growth and a new benefits package for our employees. Stacy saves me loads of money and time. Time I spend making sweet Saw music.
Choice Bank. We're committed to your business, your success, and to you. It's what we mean by people first banking. Go to bankwithchoice.com.
Quick Trip brings you quick, hot savings. We're making a splash this month with our Nature's Touch milk. Just $2.99 a gallon. All our 1 gallon 2%, 1%, and skim Nature's Touch milk is on sale and ready to hit your fridge. Oh, how can you beat fresh, straight from our dairy milk that's ready for movie night milkshakes or to make those morning waffles extra fluffy? Hey, we got you covered with quick hot savings only at Quick Trip.
NFL draft coverage now continues, presented by Red Savoy Pizza on FM 100.3 KFXN Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Fan.
We're going to need more witnesses and a louder round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us at the draft party, soon-to-be second-year safety from the University of Georgia, ladies and gentlemen, Lewis Cine.
Lulu.
What's up, bud?
Ooh.
You know, I was with Lewis. You know, he obviously had the debilitating injury in London, and we would see him, or the team would see him a lot around the facility at the end of the season, not only rehabbing, but being in the locker room a lot and being with the DBs and everything. So, I mean, even though you couldn't play in it, and I would imagine that hurt, did you definitely feel like you were totally part of that 13-win season?
I definitely felt part of it. You know, I know that I wasn't physically in playing with anyone, but the fact that I could be around the guys, you know, being present, being engaged to everything they were doing, that made me feel like I was contributing somehow.
Lou, what did you learn about yourself through this process of just coming back from injury?
I learned that through it all, I had to be positive. Through it all, I had to be positive. You know, it's not every day that I woke up being motivated to go to rehab, but I had to look in a positive light. It's like, hey, man, this is going to make you better, way better than before. Yeah. And I felt like that positivity kind of carried me through.
Can you take us back to last year, because we're talking about all these draft picks that are their lives are gonna change tonight with the phone call and through the weekend with the phone call. I know the season didn't go the way that you wanted, but can you just go back in your mindset and just explain to everybody what that process is like from end of season, which ended beautifully for you guys in college, and then you go from, you know, all the bowl, the prep with your combine, the Senior Bowl, you know, all the stuff, the pre-draft stuff, to the draft, to the team. Like, it's such a whirlwind that you probably never felt like you could really take a deep breath and reflect on it. But how do you reflect back on it now, and how can you explain that process to everybody now?
I could say through the whole process, that was probably the longest year of my life. But it had a whole lot of joyous moments from winning the Natty. As soon as I finished with the Natty, I kind of took 5 days off, and then it went straight to training. And trained for around a month and a half or 2 months to get ready for the combine. And those were probably the longest 3 days of my life. Wow. But, you know, I met with a lot of coaches then, spoke with a lot of people there. And to the whole point of, you know, a year ago today, where I got picked by the Vikings.
Wow. Yeah, it's exhausting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is a lot of work.
You're answering the same questions over and over, and you always, you know, your agents are giving you all these tips and advice, and like, it truly is the longest job interview that anybody can go through, because you never feel like you can relax. And then when you get there, and then you get to the team, it's like all these expectations of like, you got to be ready right now. Like, did you feel the weight of that?
I wouldn't say I felt the weight, no. I felt like, personally speaking, expectations always been high for me. But the type of person, the type of player that I am, I keep the main thing. And when I'm needed, I always show up. So I don't really feel the expectation or as like a burden or a weight or a load. You just show up and just do me.
And I feel like doing you has gotten you to this point where we're talking about Lewis Cine being back in 2023. When you hear that, and when you see, I mean, I've seen you probably every day at TCO, just grinding, whether that's in the whirlpool or on the indoor practice facility. But being back, like, what's that feeling now? What's the motivation now going into 2023?
To me, being back feels like Christmas came back early, honestly. You know, that the fact that I can grind it out with the guys, the fact that, you know, we have a bunch of new faces, getting to learn their names, getting to learn who are they about. Because I'm part of that, it feels joyous in a way.
Lewis, there's going to be, I've got 3 Georgia players going in the top 10 tonight. And I want to give you names of these 3 guys. Will you just give me some quick thoughts? Because you played with all these guys, and these are high-profile guys whose names we're going to hear in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Let's start here. Nolan Smith, defensive end.
High motor, very, very high motor.
Yeah.
A lot of leadership characteristics. Mm-hmm. And he's just a straight baller. That's the thing with Nolan.
Wait, you're too early in your pro playing career to be an NFL network analyst being like next to Jamie Erdahl. So that was a fantastic analysis.
That's
Who's
very
next?
good. Let me give you another one. Broderick Jones, tackle Broderick Jones is currently slated right around pick 10.
I think Broderick has a lot of what would I call it? Day one traits.
Yeah.
From the way he plays technically sound. He keeps the main thing. And Broderick has a very high motor. When he releases, he's coming on the block. He comes with a lot of energy and juice.
All right. Last one. Jalen Carter.
He's advertised. You know, what you see on TV is who he really is in terms of the type of player that he is, dominance he plays with. And whoever gets Jalen's getting a dude.
You brought up before we came on the air. You brought this name up, and I love this guy. Darnell Washington is the backup tight end behind a guy who's probably going to go in the top 5 of next year's draft. He is a beast. Talk to me about Darnell Washington.
Darnell, we call him Big O. That's his nickname, Big O.
Big O. How do you get that out of that name?
Darnell Washington.
It's hard to not notice.
Oh.
He's like 6'8".
Oh,
yeah.
It's hard to not notice some guy like that.
Right.
That's wearing a big 0 on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
But the way Darnell plays, man, it's unheard of with that size, with the speed he plays with. And whoever's getting him is getting a talented dude.
Whether Lewis Cine, safety for the Minnesota Vikings, few more before we say goodbye. With the Vikings having pick number 23, moving up, moving back, staying put, who knows? With you and Harry and Cam, I mean, that's a pretty good 3 deep right there. With the experience Cam's gotten, former corner at Cal, and Harrison's a potential Hall of Famer, and you were taken in the first round. So, I mean... No, I mean, we're not going to take a safety at 23. It's basically what I'm getting at, I would imagine, right? That might feel pretty good if I'm right.
I'm very excited that I can play with Harrison.
Yeah.
I wanted to play with him last year, but I didn't get that chance.
Mm-hmm.
And
what excites you about it?
Harry's just Harry. It's hard to pinpoint. All you got to say is Harry's Harry.
Yeah.
You know, great dude. He's awesome to be around. And I'm excited to play with Harry and be like, yeah, I did that.
Well, and with Brian Flores as the new defensive coordinator, and, you know, Harrison's like nobody heard from him, but it's the off season and who knows with bottom lines and all that. Then all of a sudden he's does the press conference, and it just reminded me how Harrison Smith, and correct me if I'm wrong, truly loves the challenge of the study. Mm-hmm. I mean, just like obsessively, you know, to perfect it, and this is new, and it's something he's never seen. Do you, and maybe for you too, do you sense that with him, and what do you think?
I think Harry's always been the type of leader to adapt quickly. You know, he's been here for so long. He's seen a whole lot of defense. He played a whole lot of ball. I think this is just a scenario where it's, you know, let me relearn something and, you know, pour out to different guys the best way that I can. I feel like that's what he's doing.
Last one, boys.
Yeah, you brought up Brian Flores. I think Brian Flores is the best free agent acquisition that the team has picked up this whole offseason. What did you know about him? What do you know about him as far as his coaching style, and then how much have you gotten into the actual X's and O's that maybe you can explain how this defense will be a little bit different than last year's defense?
From the start, I didn't know much about Brian Flores, but as I got to look back at his resume of who he is and all that, I'm seeing that he has a history of, excellence from being under the coaching tree of Belichick and being with Belichick for so long and, being a defensive mastermind or somehow. The fact that, he's going to be coaching me excites me, but it's more... We're bringing someone that brings a whole lot of juice and aggression to the defense.
Yeah.
And it's,
and you play aggressively.
Yeah. And that's exactly why I'm excited about Flo.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, love it.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Welcome back, and see you in the offseason, all right? Louis Cine, ladies and gentlemen. From the Delta Club at U.S. Bank Stadium on FM 100.3 KFAN. We are executing a draft party show from U.S. Bank Stadium. We thank Gabe Henderson for his contributions for now. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Analyst for the Vikings Radio Network, former Vikings player and coach, Pete Bursich will join when we return, and the draft will be underway. It's the NFL Draft 2023 on FM 100.3 KFAN, your home for Minnesota Vikings football.
This is coverage of the NFL Draft on the Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Now at Menards, save 11% on everything to enjoy the great outdoors. Create security, privacy, and curb appeal to your home with AC2 6-foot cedar tone premium fence pickets. Just $2.99 each after rebate. Then decorate your outdoor space with 24-foot long LED string lights. $14.99 after rebate. Add a splash of color with assorted 10-inch hanging flower baskets. Only $6.99 after rebate. Good through April 30th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
It takes teamwork to stay safe on Minnesota roads during the winter. You can help. When you see snowplows at work, slow down. Slower speeds can save lives. Don't crowd the plow and leave plenty of space between yourself and other vehicles. Keep your headlights on to see and be seen. Avoid distractions and always stay alert behind the wheel. This message brought to you by the Minnesota Department of Transportation, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Helzberg Diamonds presents The Guy Who Did His Homework. When it came to Jill's engagement ring, Brady knew exactly what to get.
Okay, so I came up with a design and showed it to all of our friends.
She'll love it.
Then he went to Helzberg. Their incredible selection of high-quality, lab-grown, and natural diamonds made creating that special ring easy. Her reaction?
I love it. Can't wait to tell everybody.
Everybody might know about it.
Be like Brady. Create the ring of her dreams at a Helzberg near you or at Helzberg.com. Ask now about special financing offers.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Get ready for the Walleye Opener Sale in store at Sportsman's Guide. Now through Sunday. Save up to 55% off boating and fishing gear. Load up on trolling motors, fish finders, rods, reels, lures, and more. Reel in big deals on top brands like Garmin, Minn Kota, Daiwa, and Rapala with in-store only specials. Plus, enter for a chance to win free gear with 4 real big giveaways valued at up to $800. It's the Walleye Opener Sale, now through Sunday. In-store only at Sportsman's Guide on Hardman Avenue, South St. Paul.
My name is Deidre. I work out of Blaine for Waste Management in St. Paul. The guys I work with in St. Paul, they're pretty cool. They're my family. We laugh a lot.
Start a career at Waste Management today. Go to careers.wm.com.
Hey, it's Chris Hockey. Wouldn't it be nice to lose over 20 pounds before summer? You can with Livia's doctor-recommended program. Look and feel your best with the weight loss program voted #1 in Minnesota. It's voted #1 by me as well. I lost over 50 pounds more than 10 years ago. I kept it off and have lost more. This program works. Start your success today. Call 855-GO-LIVIA or visit Livia.com. That's Livea, Livia.com. Join now. You'll receive 3 months for free. Livia, consistently voted Minnesota's best weight loss program year after year.
Minnesota's transportation leader is MTLcompanies.com. They prioritize adding value to their clients while developing creative solutions for all supply chain needs. With over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space, 150 power units, and 900 trailers, you have to visit MTLcompanies.com. Red Savoy Pizza presents draft coverage on KFAN. Now back to U.S. Bank Stadium. Here's the fans, Paul Allen.
To make the first selection in the 2023 National Football League Draft. Welcome back, U.S. Bank Stadium. We are field side in the Delta Club, and Carolina has 4-ish minutes to make its selection, first overall pick in the draft, and that's Adam Thielen's new team, and that's a team that also is on the Vikings schedule. We hooked the NFC South and the AFC West this year. The dates have not been determined. I would imagine that'll be within a couple of weeks. But at home, the Vikings have Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit, the champions, KC, San Francisco, the LA Chargers, Tampa Bay, and New Orleans.
Man.
So if you got season tickets to that home schedule, congratulations. Bunch of good teams coming in here. On the road, Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit, at Denver, at Vegas, at Atlanta, at Carolina.
I like that road schedule.
And we're really until the last one at Philadelphia.
That's a little tricky.
A little tricky.
How many times do we gotta go to Philadelphia?
And just can we get
as many times as we go to Seattle?
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network, former player and a coach for the Vikings, Pete Persich joins the equation.
Thank you.
What's going on, brother?
Nothing. I'm excited. I mean, you get the opportunity to take a look at all these guys, and for us, Paul, we get to see them play throughout the year. If they don't come to Minnesota, then you get to see them on the road, and you get to take a look and go back to your notes. You got last year's notebook sitting right here. And it's very exciting. It's not, as a player, the only guy that's happy is the guy that got drafted first. Everybody else behind him thinks they should have gone higher. But again, it's just one day. It's just one day. And it is kind of cool, though, Ben. I don't know about you, but I know I spent that day just thinking, wow, perhaps the next 4 years of your life is going to be somewhere. You have no idea.
You have no idea
in the country where it is. So, growing up, I visited the Boundary Waters. I've been to Minnesota. I was very familiar with Minnesota. So I'm very happy to come here. Come from Chicago, yeah.
Big city to the cornfield.
And Denny Green recruited me in high school, so he'd been in my house.
Bob Hagan drove you from the airport to Winter Park in Eden Prairie.
Bob Hagan was the first Minnesota Vikings employee that I met. By the time I got to the facility, I knew all about Sid Hartman. I knew all about Bud Grant. I knew I knew all the everything I needed to know. I was very well rehearsed.
There were 2 questions asked before you got here. You answered one about what excites you tonight. Carolina's pick is in. We'll go to that momentarily. The second question was stream your consciousness. Vikings at 23. Trade up, trade back, stay there. It's not what you think will happen. What would you like to happen?
Well, I would love to see. I mean, I have names and all those things. We can get to those later, but I'd love to see you get some help on defense, right? And you build a great defense from the outside in. So that's defensive ends, corners. Those 2 positions are really, because if you look at this team, where does a high draft pick start on day one? And right now, I think it's at linebacker. It's at one of the corner positions, maybe wide receiver number 2 or 3. So from a pure need base, those I think are the three positions.
And at KFAN 1003, we have our second poll if you'd like to play along. It is you indicated you wanted to trade up to get a quarterback in the previous poll. Remembering it's more expensive the higher you go, how high should the Vikings trade up? This is following the poll, and we'll get to the first pick and then get back to this.
The Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama.
First pick is in, Vikes at 23. So take a peek at KFAN 1003 via Twitter and a vote on the options. No surprise, the overwhelming wagering favorite, at least with the online spots, was Bryce Young, quarterback from Alabama, to go to Carolina. Bryce Young, Adam Thielen, touchdown Panthers. Hopefully we don't hear that a lot this season when we play them. But what do you guys think about Bryce Young?
I think he's great. I think both he and C.J. Stroud are going to be great quarterbacks, and we'll talk about the other quarterbacks too, and they all have a lot of potential. But I just think everything you hear about Bryce Young, he has every intangible that you're looking for. Hardworking kid, super humble. He's going to be a great spokesperson for the Carolina Panthers. Maybe doesn't have the strongest arm, but I think he's very accurate. I think he played in a pro stylish system, so it's not going to be too big for him. I think he's a fantastic pick.
Archie?
I love the uncoachable poise that he's got. Some guys got it and some don't. Bryce Young's got it, man. He is a winner. He's just, when everything is going to bleep around him in that pocket, he is just cool and delivering strikes downfield. And there's just some things you can't coach up, and he's got just so many just winning criteria to him and characteristics. Man, there's just so much I like. And, really, when the only thing you can find to knock on a guy that's at all substantive is his height, that will be okay. Well, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson and Drew Brees have turned out fine.
But I think that kind of speaks to just the level of intangibles on this kid, because.
And I ain't saying Kyler Murray turned out fine, but anyway, continue.
Well, you look at who gets drafted first overall. Ideal height, ideal weight, ideal speed, ideal this, unbelievable potential, high ceiling, all those things. And so if you were to tell me that a 5 foot, was he 9? 5 foot 10? 5'10" quarterback that's around or less than 200 pounds is going to go first overall in a draft 4 or 5 years ago, you just chuckle. You'd be like, this guy better be as good as it can be in every other category, and he is. That's how I'm just trying to put something behind what you guys have been saying when it comes to his poise in the pocket, his ability, his leadership, all those things.
Well, now the Houston Texans select next. And maybe low-key outside chance here, or maybe there's a legitimate chance this is where some wild cards begin.
Yep.
Their new head coach is DeMeco Ryans, formerly defensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers. And, this Will Anderson, the Alabama edge, he's ballyhooed. He's very highly touted. Texas Tech has a defensive pass rusher who also could go here, but their quarterback is Davis Mills. And there are still some significant quarterbacks available. Ben Lieber, Houston at 2. How do you think this impacts the draft?
I just don't think that you overthink this pick. I am okay. I can be persuaded that if you think that they're not going to compete this year, set yourself up for Caleb Williams next year. That's the pick that you want. That's the quarterback that you want. But it's a little bit of a crapshoot, right? I don't know if
are you going to be bad enough?
Yeah, it'd be bad enough
to pick first.
And does your first year head coach want to feel like you're tanking in his first year?
Right.
I don't think so. Don't overthink this. Take C.J. Stroud. You have another pick in the first round coming up. If you want to build around him, you're going to have a receiver that you want that's going to be there. You can find a high-impact quarterback that can be your franchise guy and get another weapon if you want. And you still have the pick of the litter, whether you want defensive line, whether you want offensive tackle, whether you want a wide receiver. You're going to have that with your pick at number 12. So I think you take C.J. Stroud.
I personally hope they take Will Anderson, because I think then the draft's going to get exciting. You're going to get a lot of people trading up. If they do decide to take Will Anderson, they still have a lot of draft equity to get themselves to a point where they can pick one of the other quarterbacks, especially
if they are a Hendon Hooker fan, or they like, maybe Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, either Jake Hayner, somebody that's a little further down, they probably believe they can get their cake and eat it too if they go ahead with probably the safest overall pick in this draft. At the outside linebacker position in Will Anderson.
So if it's not Stroud and it's not Will Anderson, let me give you this. If you're Houston at 2, you got problems all over your team. Well, let's trade down.
I was going to say,
let's get out of this pick and let's amass even more. They already got, I think, 12 picks in this draft.
Yeah.
They're not trading down because their pick is in, so they're going to make this pick. And now we find out whether or not they feel like they can solve quarterback with this pick.
Well, they have 12.
Pick 12 or later than that. Now at 12, it's a little interesting, Paul.
Well, how about what we shared earlier 9 to noon? What do you think of this? DeMeco Ryans comes from the Niners, where just perhaps in passing, without the personnel, obviously, but you can build it.
Yeah.
He learned from Kyle Shanahan how to win with a quarterback like Davis Mills, how to win with a quarterback like Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the personnel difference here is massive, so I'm talking in theory, but maybe he's like, you know what? My previous boss taught me how to win with a quarterback like this.
Yeah.
We got a lot of work to do. I ain't passing this Alabama edge. I'm not the Texas Tech cat. And also from a wagering standpoint, it took place last week. Kentucky quarterback Will Levis went up to the favorite to be the second overall pick in the draft. It subsequently moved a little bit where he's like the second favorite. Right. But, for whatever that's worth, Bryce Young was the first pick, and he was prohibitively favored. So the Texans, Peter.
We'll absolutely see. I do think that you want to get it. I would think they're going to go the Will Anderson route.
Here we go.
Worry about a quarterback next.
Let's see what's up.
In the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select C.J. Stroud.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah, Ben.
Good move. Good for them.
Ben laid that out beautifully. For those who missed it, do it again, Ben.
Again, it's just one of those things I just don't think you overthink it. There was a lot of analysts that actually went back and forth between which they thought was the better quarterback, and Stroud and Bryce Young. They thought it was that close. Stroud has a lot of the same intangibles. He can stay in the pocket. He seems super poised. He plays with great anticipation. He's also 6'3", so a lot of the same things that Bryce Young has, and you don't have to worry about the height. There is now the cognitive issue that people, whether you want to put some weight to that or not, the S2 cognitive test, which is kind of a new-ish processing skills-based test that they're administering to all these prospects, but he did not score very high. So if you have a lot of weight in that versus the tape that you watch, that's up to you. I think this tape's pretty hot.
Yeah.
And I think that you get your franchise quarterback, and again, you have pick number 12, you can still build your team pretty well with that number 12 pick.
Well, for the Vikings, the C.J. Stroud selection here it starts to complicate any move starts going up to get a quarterback.
Correct.
So now Anthony Richardson could fall at 4, and now 3 of the first 4 picks are quarterback, and now the Vikings, I think, are effectively dead on any move-up scenario.
Yeah.
So Stroud going here, as opposed to, there was a lot of steam about him falling into, as far as like pick 8 for Atlanta, where you could have gotten some manageable quarterbacks there. I don't think it's going to play out this way for the Vikings and those that wanted to see the Vikings move up and get a QB.
The Arizona Cardinals, Indianapolis Colts, and Seattle Seahawks are set to select in that order when we return to the intimate, quaint, and wonderful Delta Club at U.S. Bank Stadium. It is the NFL Draft Party. Once again, at KFAN 1003 via Twitter. We have polls going this evening and a lot of social media activity from here at U.S. Bank Stadium. Pete Bursich, Ben Lieber, Paul Charchi, and I'm Paul Allen. We'll be right back on your home for Vikings football, FM 100.3 KFAN.
This is coverage of the NFL Draft on The Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
AAA Movers and AAAmovers.com wants you to know that there's a KFAN special, and this month you receive $50 off junk removal with junk luggers. AAA Movers, you may not move every day, but they do.
To everyone who craves a fresh meal made just for you, let our team member Jacob share what's special about Culver's.
In Wisconsin, our food comes from the heart, and taking the time to handcraft your meal with care is how we've always done it at Culver's. It's why your Butterburger doesn't touch the grill until after you order, like our limited time Smokehouse Barbecue Cheddar Pub Burger. We know you'll love it.
Come to Culver's and let us serve you a butter burger made special just for you. From Wisconsin with love. Welcome to Delicious. To everyone who craves a handcrafted treat, let our team member Sephora tell you about a Culver's favorite.
We make our thick and creamy fresh frozen custard in small batches all throughout the day. And we mean all day, every day. From our supremely rich shakes and concrete mixers to our freshly scooped dishes and cones, we handcraft every bite to pure perfection. Making you a sweet treat with care is the best part of my day.
Come to Culver's and get a taste of our fresh frozen custard.
From Wisconsin with love.
Welcome to Delicious.
Whether your roof is worn out from age or damaged by one of many hailstorms from last year, American Building Contractors will help. Hey, it's Mark Parrish for ABC. Since 1998, ABC has been helping homeowners protect and repair their homes, all the while building a reputation for quality and customer satisfaction. So if you think your roof needs replacing, talk to my team, ABC. They'll know what to do.
It's not just a house, it's your home. ABCwillhelp.com.
I started my power line company with just a few contracts. Rachel from Choice Bank helped me grow my business with equipment financing through the SBA. Now I have more time for line dancing. Rachel helps me reach my goals, from my business to my boot scoot boogie. I'm Lou. I'm a lineman by trade, but a line dancer by choice.
Choice Bank. We're committed to your business, your success, and to you. It's what we mean by people first banking. Go to bankwithchoice.com. Woo!
It's time for the Acme Tools Spring Tool Sale this Friday and Saturday. Save 12% on your favorite power tools, machinery, and accessories from over 100 of the world's best brands. Talk shop with factory reps and try before you buy. Take advantage of our daily doorbuster deals and register to win a prize package from Ego, valued at $478. Don't miss the Spring Tool Sale this Friday and Saturday only at Acme Tools, 494 and Rockford Road, Plymouth. Do your best work.
Mother, also called Mom, doubles as chauffeur, ATM, and someone with great advice and unconditional love. This Mother's Day, make her day with fine jewelry from Shane Company. We have gifts for every mom, and everyone special in your life who's like a mom to you. What's great about Shane Company is our endless selection of options. With so many diamonds and colorful gemstones to choose from, we can help you create a one-of-a-kind necklace for mom. Pick a favorite color or choose a birthstone to represent each family member. We source our gemstones from around the world and hand-select the most beautiful ones, so whatever you create for mom, it'll be awesome. Something personal that reflects her style and all your love. When's her birthday? We have Zodiac Charm necklaces for every sign. Visit us today or shop online at shaneco.com and get free express shipping. Whether you spend a little or a lot, you're going to crush it with a Mother's Day gift from Shane Company.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
I want to break free.
Ready to break free, Minneapolis? This summer, take your dream vacation with Norwegian Cruise Line to Alaska, Europe, and more. Book today and get 35% off all cruises. Plus, enjoy free airfare for second guest, free unlimited open bar, free specialty dining, and more. Visit ncl.com, call your travel advisor, or 1-888-NCL-CRUISE. Offer ends soon, Minneapolis. Norwegian Cruise Line. Feel free. Ships registry the Bahamas and USA. Restrictions apply.
Meat Sauce here. It's your mother or the mother of your children we're talking about, and she deserves the very best. So take it from me and go get her a gift card from Woodhouse Spa. Give her a day to relax and reflect on how great it is to be a mom or to be your mom. Woodhouse Spa, the best place for the best moms.
Back to draft coverage on The Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
With the second pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select C.J. Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State.
Welcome back to the NFL Draft at U.S. Bank Stadium on FM 100.3 KFAN. A major situation has developed. The Houston Texans, who selected Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud with the second overall pick. They also had the 12. Well, they got in contact with Arizona, came right up, and took number 3. So the Houston Texans came into this evening with their uber-aggressive and super well-respected new head coach, DeMeco Ryans, and said, well, we not only want 2, we want 2 and 3. So we're going to get our quarterback, and then at 3, we're going to get our edge rusher, and we're going to try to start reshaping things in our division. So they haven't picked yet, but now the commissioner's walking up, and let's see what Houston does C.J. Stroud, and whom after a trade with Zona.
The Arizona Cardinals have traded the third pick to the Houston Texans. With the third pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Will Anderson.
Boom! Wow. Oh, that's some work right there.
Will Anderson is arguably the safest pick in this entire draft. He is an absolute beast and somebody that I think you couldn't go wrong on. Ben, Pete, if you asked me to identify one player out of this draft class that was going to go to the Hall of Fame, I'd pick Will Anderson. And this is, edge rusher. I mean, so disruptive. There's so many things to like about him. And Houston with a big move from 12 up to 3. What do you think about reshaping your franchise this way?
I love it, man. Daniel Jeremiah apparently on NFL Network talked about this and predicted this before the telecast. Obviously, he must have had some steam and some insight and kind of connected the dots there. But that was a team that, at least from the public, I didn't think that the Houston Texans would be the team that would move up to 3. Everybody knew that the Cardinals were shopping this pick. Everybody knew that they were like, they're looking to move down. Like, they would love to take Will Anderson. He was slotted to go number 3 to whoever moved up to go get him, especially if it went quarterback. So I think it's a fantastic pick. Like we talked about, the Texans have 13 picks in this draft. So they have the equity to do a trade like this. Hats off to them. I agree with Charts. This is the safest pick in the draft.
I mean, D'Amico rolls in and just splashes out of the gate. The Texans got pick 3 and subsequently Will Anderson, the Alabama edge. They also get pick 105. The Cardinals got pick 12 and 33 this year to start the second round.
Yeah.
They also got the Texans first and third in 2024.
Wow.
To move.
That is expensive.
Well, yeah, because
they got a first, a second, a first, and a third.
Right, but guess
to
what?
Move up 9 picks.
They got Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud, and they still may be picking in the top 7 next year.
Wow.
So I mean, look at Arizona trying to reshape this thing.
Yeah, for Jonathan Gannon, this is a dream scenario. That team is needed so much help in so many places, and now Arizona gets the extra selections here. This is they really, really needed this.
Oh yeah, they're feeling good. They're happy. They'll be celebrating tonight and tomorrow. Tonight or tomorrow, you'll be seeing who won the draft, and it'll be Houston because of the big names.
Ain't nobody beating D'Amico.
I'm going to go. You said when you talked about Will Anderson being in the Hall of Fame, I think Jalen Carter is a better football player. It's just that he has a lot more baggage, right?
For sure.
That's where this kid is. I think is a safer type pick. But I think some people, you watch that film, you watch him against Tennessee, right? You watch him. I believe it was Tennessee, and the other game might have been Ohio State, but he had some games where he disappeared. But he did have almost a better season in 2021 than he did in 2022. So I'm not taking anything away from him, but when you start giving up, like what Paul was just saying, all those draft picks and the equity over the next couple of seasons to get to him, there might have been some other options that were out there, but Texans have to be feeling good about tonight so far.
All right, so let me ask you this, Charts, because you are the analytics guy. Is that too much?
Yes. I mean, that was an overpay to move 9 picks.
I felt the same way.
A first and a third this year and a first and a second next year.
But wait, didn't you say Will Anderson is Hall of Fame worthy?
Well, I said not quite. I didn't quite put it that way. I want to be careful about preposterous statement awards here. But said if I had to pick one player out of this draft class to go to the Hall of Fame,
then you got
this is the guy I'd choose.
Well, then you got to overpay.
And they did.
Right.
They overpaid. I think the Cardinals won this trade, but that doesn't mean it can't work out for both sides. Cardinals needed a lot of high-end picks. This gives them that. Will Anderson is the 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, it feels like an absolute sure thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, to your point there, Pete, I agree with you. There were games that he just like, well, isn't this the guy that's supposed to be like possibly the number one at that point in time you're watching, possibly the number 1 overall pick, and you're like, he's okay. He's also getting all the attention from every one of these offenses to slow this guy down. He was when he goes and he plays for the Texans, they just signed Jerry Hughes as well as the other rush guy. You're not going to be able to double team him and chip him all the time like he got chipped when he was in Bama.
Our newest poll at KFAN 1003, which Syracuse Orange player will not be selected next? That's courtesy of at G. Alexander. The Indianapolis Colts are set to select next. They have the 4th overall pick in the draft. Absolute quarterback spot would be the wager here. Yep. Levis, Richardson, Hooker as the longer of the 3 shots there. Indianapolis Colts coming up here. Paul, we begin with you. What do you think?
I believe they'll go Will Levis because they don't have the luxury of sitting and waiting a year or 2 for Anthony Richardson to develop. Will Levis is closer to ready. Obviously, Richardson only's got the 12 starts in college. Levis, you get a much more seasoned player. Then Indianapolis has got Gardner Minshew. I mean, that's the extent of their depth chart. So this is, I believe it's going to be Will Levis here. Indianapolis, like a lot of teams, doesn't want to see itself picking at the top of the draft. I think you go quarterback here.
Do you think that Will Levis can run a similar offense to what Philadelphia ran?
Here we go, boys. We will continue with that after this.
With the 4th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Anthony Richardson.
All right.
Hey.
That's why I asked that question.
Go ahead.
That's exactly why I asked that question, because Steichen is from Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Who did he have in Philadelphia was Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Steichen's a Philadelphia guy.
What did they do with Jalen Hurts? A lot of RPO, a lot of run-pass option, a lot of giving the quarterback the ability to run if he does not like what he sees. Will Levis, yes, is an athletic quarterback-ish.
He is pretty mobile.
He's pretty mobile, but you're talking about one of the freakiest quarterbacks, at least from a physical standpoint, in Anthony Richardson. This pick right here makes a lot more sense based on the offense that they want to run in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that part absolutely does make sense. Obviously, a big project. This is the most boom or bust player probably in the entire draft. The Colts will, they'll go down. It'll be a historic pick if it all comes together for Richardson, and it may be a historic flameout. But the athletic traits are absurd and really never before seen history of combine level athletic traits for Anthony Richardson. And it'll be fascinating to see how it develops, how they bring him along, how quickly he starts. So many questions here. They've got some receiving talent in Michael Pittman that they can throw to. They put they've got a couple other good receivers, including some good young tight ends like Jelani Woods,
Harrison and Wayne.
That's right.
They have talent on the outside, and I think that, and to Ben's point, is exactly right. Is that they are going to want to model what they do with their quarterback off of the success that Philadelphia's had with Jalen Hurts. Now, he's also gonna go in there and deal with an offensive line that's fantastic, one of the better ones in football. But he's not going to have the defense that Philadelphia has. So there's going to be a little bit more pressure on him, I think, that way. But an unbelievable athlete. And the athleticism helps you win when you're younger, right? These guys, the highly athletic quarterbacks, the ones that can run, they're dual threats, they have a lot of success early because they take people by surprise. It's just, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, like Chicago's seeing right now with Justin Fields. Is he going to eventually turn into the passer that we need?
Next 3, Seattle, Detroit, and the Vegas Raiders. Seattle at 5. Any guesses or speculation here? Seattle just got sniped on a quarterback.
Well, Seattle could still go quarterback if they wanted to.
Maybe
they got
sniped
Geno
on
Smith.
the one it wanted.
It may be. But Jalen Carter's there. I mean, if you want the guy that, 3 months ago was widely considered the best player in this draft, then, Jalen Carter would be a pick that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to stamp that as well. Pete was talking about it earlier. I think Jalen Carter probably, is the most disruptive player and is just an absolute Tasmanian devil from the inside. And when you talk about the comparisons between Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, I think this pick makes a lot of sense. Again, this is kind of like, don't overthink it, guys. Like, you want to bring your defense back to prominence there in Seattle?
Yeah.
You start with your guy up front. You bring in Jalen Carter. As much as people want to bag on his personal life and his background, he also has done a lot of good. Believe what you want. He was involved in a terrible situation in college, but he also seems like a nice kid that does want to do right. And so I don't think that he's such a bad egg that you can't take him at number 5.
And Pete Carroll's going to be a good mentor for him. I mean, Pete just turned, I think he's 72, 71. He's up there. How much longer he's going to be around, we don't know. But if you just can get him through this rookie season, the first couple of seasons, get him in the right way, and I think that what Pete Carroll does in Seattle and his attitude and how they do things out there, I think they really love a guy like this.
Pete
they're not
Carroll's
going to be
willing
afraid.
to work with these kind of guys more than most coaches are, and more than that front office is more than most will.
And he has the gravitas to sit this kid down and say, "Hey, listen, this is how we're doing things." And he's Pete Carroll, for God's sake. Of course, you're just going to nod your head and say, "Yes." He's not some rookie head coach or somebody else.
Yeah, which makes sense. Let me ask this: How much does it trouble you that Jalen Carter couldn't finish his pro day workout?
I'd want to know why. I'd want to know why.
I think he tanked.
I think he tanked.
Yeah, me too.
Which is another concern. That's a character.
Yes, it is.
It is. It's a character concern for sure. And he came in a little overweight.
He did.
Overweight, heavier than he was at the combine.
Yeah, he's a D tackle.
That is a concern. I just think that he wanted to go where he wanted to go, and he was trying to, I think, maybe dictate where that was going to take place. I don't think that he has ultimate turd to him.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Ultimate?
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't think he's been one of those guys that just completely.
partial?
Yeah. But look, he's a little unpolished. I get it. Fine. But he's a defensive tackle that could wreck games, and I think you're willing to kind of give some time to polish this thing up.
Seattle in 2 minutes behind Seattle. The Lions, they have 2 picks in the first round, 6 and 18. Quick recap, Carolina Panthers, predictably, Alabama quarterback Bryce Young. The Vikings play at Charlotte this year against Young and Thielen. Houston Texans with the 2nd overall pick took C.J. Stroud, the quarterback. Then the Texans from 12 went up to 3. They took Arizona's pick. D'Amico Ryans, their new head coach, wanted to go bang bang at 2 and 3, so he gets the quarterback. Then he comes back with Alabama edge, defensive end Will Anderson. That's Houston. Indianapolis Colts just took Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson. Seattle in a minute and change now. Detroit,
Detroit,
the favorites in the estimation of many to win the NFC North. A division the Minnesota Vikings won in this building with 13 wins last year. But nevertheless, Detroit 6 and 18 for now. Pete, we begin with you. These Lions are good, and they could do some real damage with these picks.
They can, and I think that they'll probably be the first. You'll see the first corner go off the board. You'll see probably. Christian Gonzalez, who I think is the safest pick at corner to be successful, and then right behind him is Devin Witherspoon from Illinois, who is a little bit slight, but man, he's tough and he hits and he does everything the right way. So I think that Detroit, they're going to get some good players in this draft, and I think they're going to start the run on the corners.
I worry Detroit's going to decide to bookend Aiden Hutchinson
3 technique
with Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
And it all depends on his foot.
Or rush inside, or inside rush guy here. Or we're talking, Carter, if the Georgia kid, if he doesn't get picked, holy cow.
I know. Those are bad scenarios for Detroit. And
With
this is just their first of 2.
Detroit doesn't, I don't know if socially he fits what Detroit's trying to do there.
Really?
Right, with the knee biters and that kind of thing.
I think, Dan Campbell?
I'm just saying.
Seriously.
If they're the GM and the head
they
coach,
got a tight team thing is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're very I think that they're buying into that, and so maybe he won't fit that depending on where the red flags are and how big those flags are.
Nacho,
really are.
What damage can the Lions do with 6 and 18?
They can do a lot.
Yeah.
They can do a lot. They can get corner. They can get rush guy. Again, they're sitting pretty. They really are. There's no other way you can talk yourself out of it. They have long suffered for a long time, and I think it's finally paying off for them. And they're going to get 2 really good day 1 starters that are going to be on defense, most likely on defense, and the Vikings offense is going to have to deal with it.
Paul?
Yeah, this is. I'm nervous about Detroit and what they're building, and I don't like that they've got 2 of the first 18 picks. And you can only hope they whiff on at least one of them. And I think they go defense, and that's they're going to address some major need here. There are some people who think Detroit's a wild card to potentially go running back here and take Bijan Robinson. But I don't see it, given that they just paid Montgomery.
Yeah. Now, the offensive coordinator, is he still there?
Ben Johnson.
Yeah, Ben Johnson.
He's still there because I think that he's the key piece to that offense. And for years and years, you saw that being a talent-poor offensive line. But that offensive line, that group that they have is finally starting to play well together.
Here we go.
And so, Detroit's got a lot of options.
Seattle.
In the 2023 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Devin Witherspoon.
Wow.
Illinois.
There you go.
Went with that corner. So now you have Witherspoon in a very deep cornerback draft. I mean, we were chatting about this a little while ago. You know, the 2020 NFL draft was considered or is considered the deepest wide receiver draft in the history of the NFL. We got JJ. It's kind of paying off. Well, we don't hear that about this year's cornerback draft, but we do hear it's incredibly deep. Seattle and Pete Carroll believe they got the best of the best. And if they did, they will bookend him with Tariq Woolen, who almost won Defensive Player or Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. So now Seattle does that. Here come these kiddies, the Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
they are set to select next, and in fact, the next three teams selecting are all on the Vikings schedule this upcoming season. Kiddies twice, Las Vegas Raiders on the road, Atlanta Falcons on the road, and we'll see what Detroit has up its sleeve. Now we've discussed two-thirds of the adversaries in the division. Now, Green Bay picks 13th and drafts for the first time sans Aaron Rodgers. So with Green Bay and that approach without the quarterback, Ben, let's begin with you. What do you expect from Green Bay a little later in the program?
They're going to go offensive weapons. I think that they're going to find a wide receiver, probably most likely a wide receiver with their first pick. They're not going to go tight end. I don't believe, but they do need a tight end as well because they did lose Tunyon. So what Aaron Rodgers has been wanting to do his whole career is just get all these skill players on offense, and they didn't do it, and they're going to do it the year that he leaves, and it does make a lot of sense.
And Houston moving out of that spot right before the Packers opens up the door. Houston needs wide receiver badly, right? They lost Brandon Cooks, and they want to get help for for C.J. Stroud. But them moving out of position 12 puts probably the first wide receiver on the board available to Green Bay. Most people think that'll be Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's probably who I would take in that spot. But that trade that's in sneaky fashion helps the Packers.
In 2008, when Aaron Rodgers was named the starter, they had James Jones and Donald Driver on that team. They drafted Jordy Nelson and then later on drafted Jermichael Finley.
Yeah.
So to your point, Ben, I really believe are going to go offense. And if they're staring at that number one receiver, it's probably going to be Najigba.
The Detroit Lions select next as we pause. Via Twitter, we have another poll number 3 at KFAN 1003. Thank you very much for playing along. And it's written, well, 3 quarterbacks are gone. Do you still want to trade up as a Viking fan? Do you want to trade up for Will Levis or Hooker? Our guys break down the NFL draft powered by Savoy Pizza here. That's at KFAN 1003. Per the question, yes, do it now. Or maybe, but don't spend much. Or no, let's end that dream. When we return, we will have the Detroit Lions first of 2 first-round picks. And also, Minnesota Vikings defensive immortality, Scott Studwell, will be joining us at the Delta Club at U.S. Bank Stadium on KFAN.
This is coverage of the NFL Draft on The Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza. If you've never tangled with monster fish, then it's time for some sturgeon fishing at Borderview Lodge on the Rainy River. The thrill of fighting a giant sturgeon is an experience like no other. Great accommodations and a public launch right next to the resort means close and easy access to great fishing. Whether you're a seasoned angler or a first-timer, this is a bucket list trip for sure. For a fully guided sturgeon fishing adventure or lodging on the Rainy River, contact us today at borderviewlodge.com.
When I started, it was just me and my tools. Now, while my team is out working, I'm running the business. Couldn't do it without Stacy from Choice Bank. Wouldn't have time to pick up the musical Saw either. She put together financing to fuel our growth and a new benefits package for our employees. Stacy saves me loads of money and time. Time I spend making sweet Saw music.
Choice Bank. We're committed to your business, your success, and to you. It's what we mean by people first banking. Go to bankwithchoice.com.
Hey, it's Guardsy with DIY Dave from uglydeck.com. And if you're thinking of a DIY deck project, then skip big box and get your complete deck package from uglydeck.com. You get a free deck coach from start to finish, fast free delivery of #1 grade lumber, more color options, free drawings, permit assistance, and they can install your footings and ledger for you. What else, DIY Dave?
Guardsy, homeowners love our maintenance-free upgrades like spiral stairs and our strong AFCO aluminum railing. It's carefree, rust-proof, and best of all, just beautiful.
Check out the AFCO railing and the DIY Deck Assist program at uglydeck.com.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else, and we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. Get started today at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
To everyone who craves a fresh meal made just for you, let our team member Jacob share what's special about Culver's.
In Wisconsin, our food comes from the heart, and taking the time to handcraft your meal with care is how we've always done it at Culver's. It's why your Butterburger doesn't touch the grill until after you order, like our limited-time Smokehouse Barbecue Cheddar Pub Burger. We know you'll love it.
Come to Culver's and let us serve you a Butterburger made special just for you. From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious. To everyone who craves a handcrafted treat, let our team member Sephora tell you about a Culver's favorite.
We make our thick and creamy fresh frozen custard in small batches all throughout the day. And we mean all day, every day. From our supremely rich shakes and concrete mixers to our freshly scooped dishes and cones, we handcraft every bite to pure perfection. Making you a sweet treat with care is the best part of my day.
Come to Culver's and get a taste of our fresh frozen custard.
From Wisconsin with love.
Welcome to Delicious.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
With car prices at an all-time high, our donors are now getting highest receipts ever. Donate at carsforkids.org, and your car can be picked up tomorrow.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Quick Trip brings you quick, hot savings. We're making a splash this month with our Nature's Touch milk. Just $2.99 a gallon. All our 1 gallon, 2%, 1%, and skim Nature's Touch milk is on sale and ready to hit your fridge. Oh, how can you beat fresh, straight from our dairy milk that's ready for movie night milkshakes or to make those morning waffles extra fluffy? Hey, we got you covered with quick, hot savings. Only at Quick Trip.
My name is Deidre. I work out of Blaine for waste management. They're my family. I do have several customers I see at least once a day that I talk to.
Start a career at Waste Management today. Go to careers.wm.com.
Eyes on your phone, eyes on your cheeseburger, eyes on the radio dial, eyes on the scenery, eyes on that cool car, eyes on the kid, eyes on your drink, eyes on the video player, eyes on your watch, eyes on the guy passing you. How about eyes on the road? Distracted driving can be deadly. Drive smart.
Extra enforcement now on Minnesota roads. A message from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety.
NFL draft coverage now continues. Presented by Red Savoy Pizza on FM 100.3 KFXN Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Fan.
Looky here, the Detroit Lions with 2 first-round picks have traded. Arizona's traded twice already. Arizona went from 12 to 6, took the Lions pick. Lions go back to 12, and the Arizona Cardinals selected Ohio State offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr., undoubtedly feeling the Raiders had their sights potentially set on that individual. But that would be an opinion formulated in a draft room or by a director of college scouting or by people who have followed it markedly more closer than me. And it's interesting with Pete Bursich, Ben Lieber, and our next guest. The Lions teams that they all played weren't necessarily as overall formidable as this one potentially can be when it starts selecting. And the third one, the former player, is Vikings immortality. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please have a round of applause for Mr. Scott Studwell? What's up, Stud?
Nada. How you doing?
Great. Let's begin here. Dennis Ryan was nearly a half century equipment manager for the Minnesota Vikings, and he recently retired. Let's begin with you, Stud. Just memories of Dennis, and did the retirement in any way catch you off guard?
Not really. I had talked to Dennis this fall a few times, and I think he was getting close to being at the end of his rope, so to speak. And it was, they've had 2 equipment managers since they got here.
Amazing.
And Stubby was the original equipment manager, and he was a piece of work. And Dennis was, Dennis was the polar opposite of Stubby, but at the same time, he's one of those guys that was so selfless. He'd give you the shirt off his back. He was always there for you for whatever you needed. And it wasn't just myself. I know Pete and Ben probably feel the same way. He was a model employee. He was one of the hardest workers I've ever known. And I'm just really, really happy for him. And it's time for him to enjoy the rest of his days.
And did he not make the best coffee in the building? You're a coffee guy. I know you're a coffee guy.
Yeah, I'm a coffee guy.
The diesel he made in that equipment room, I mean, he couldn't keep it full because we'd go back there and refill all the time. It's the best.
Well, the only problem with his coffee is it kind of made you a little jumpy in the meetings.
Did a number on your kidneys, too.
But no, it was... Dennis was just one of a kind, and he was. I just feel so fortunate to call him a friend, number one, and number two. He's a legend in the Vikings organization. What he's done for this team, and this city has just been phenomenal.
And Pete, think about this, because I know you and Dennis are close. When you say nearly a half century at a single job, I mean, that's so antithetical to really anything from a professional standpoint. But then you think about the job, the equipment manager job, which, believe it or not, takes a major toll on your body. And he did that for 50 years, getting the whole thing set up. Holy cow.
Right. You come back from the road games and the plane might land at 2 in the morning or 5 in the morning, and you see you're sitting on the buses and you're tired, and you see them rolling out the carts full of jerseys and uniforms and towels and everything else, and D. Ryan going right back to the facility and start firing those things up. I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like with Stud, and I know Ben, you too. On YouTube, you can watch guys that are really good at like the bosses at their jobs, right? Guys out there who are laying concrete or doing cement or whatever. Dennis Ryan, I'll never forget. I had a pair of practice pants, and I remember my belt buckle was broken, right? And I remember, you go to the meetings, and then you have lunch, then you have another special teams meeting, then you're like hurrying up to get dressed to go out, and I'm thinking to myself, oh crap, I forgot to tell Dennis. He had fixed it. I mean, the guy, he was unbelievable at his attention to detail. It's second to none, and that's why he was there for a half century.
All righty. Now, Scott Studwell, former director of college scouting for the Minnesota Vikings, who has been in draft rooms with Spielman and crew and so on. What is it like in there? The night of the draft and the conversations and the phone and everything. What's it like?
Well, I mean, all the work's been done. I mean, they've hashed over this draft board for months and months and weeks and weeks and days, and it's almost kind of a relief to not to have to talk about them anymore. All those conversations have already been had. And Rick, who was obviously my boss, he knew who he wanted and he knew who the room wanted, and he was very cognizant of making sure that everybody had their say and their piece. For every player that's on that board, and we had over 1,000 names on that board, so it was a lot of people, a lot of players to go through. But it's at the end of the day, everybody is on board with the people that Rick wants to pick, and this is based on all the information that he's gathered from the scouts, and he's seen them himself. And so, it's a collaboration, but at the same time, somebody's got to be responsible for turning that card in. And, Rick did a phenomenal job for a long, long time, and hopefully Kwesi can do the same, but it's
Stud, what? In addition to when you were director of college scouting, so outside of having an opinion on all these players, when you sit down with the GM and go through the evaluations, throughout the course of the year, right in the fall when the colleges are playing, what are your responsibilities? Are you the one that decides who goes and sees them, when and where, and who go? The Senior Bowl and the pro days. I mean, are those all your decisions? I mean, what were the other things that you had to do?
Well, I mean, obviously, as a director, you direct people in the right direction, hopefully. So everybody, whether you had 8 scouts or 10 scouts, or each one would cover a different area of the country, and then you would have people over the top of them, and then you would have a national scout over the top of them, and then the director was over the top of him, and Rick, obviously, and George were over the top of me. So, I would typically write about 800 reports a year. And which was probably a little overkill, but, it's when those guys are on the board, you got to know something about them, and whether you saw them yourself or 2 or 3 guys saw them, or and there's always guys that fall through the cracks, and we've certainly missed our fair share of them, and everybody does. Typically, you don't like to talk about it, but it does happen, but it's I can't call it a crapshoot, but you can go through an entire draft and have 12 or 13 picks, and the best player out of that draft class may be an unsigned free agent that nobody really knew about. So
that's the voice of Scott Studwell, Vikings defensive immortality, talking about being in the draft room. And we had a pick during our conversation. The Las Vegas Raiders selected Texas Tech defensive lineman Tyree Wilson. We also have information on the Arizona and Detroit trade. Detroit had pick 6. Arizona had moved back to 12. Arizona takes 12, goes up to 6 with the Lions. So the Cardinals get pick number 6, and with it, they selected Paris Johnson Jr., an offensive tackle from Ohio State. Detroit gets 12 coming up quickly, and also 34 very early in the second round. So that's the particulars of that deal. The Lions now have picks 12, 18, and 34, and they have yet to select. Scott and Pete specifically, speaking of Detroit, what was it like playing against Barry Sanders?
Terrifying.
Was it really?
Yeah. He was in a league of his own. And I was fortunate or unfortunate to play against Walter Payton twice a year, and Barry Sanders twice a year, and Billy Sims twice a year, and
Eric Dickerson once.
Eric Dickerson.
Wow.
Tony Dorsett.
Did you get Earl Campbell?
Earl Campbell.
Well,
yeah.
That would be no fun.
Yeah.
Did you get Larry Zonka? Missed him.
As a matter of fact, I did.
With the Giants.
Yeah.
That's great. Wilbur Montgomery.
Yeah.
Gail Sayers.
Yes,
Yeah.
Gail.
Well, let's just.
That's before Scott's time.
Jim
Come
Brown.
on.
But you know, I mean, it was. But the game back then was a different game. I mean, people ran the ball first and threw the ball when they needed to, and which was an ideal fit for my style of game. And I'm sure Pete and Ben would say the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different game, and you know, it's more schematic. It's more they attack you more. They're not as predictable. But it's you know, so I mean, I would have been a first down player and out.
Really?
Wow. You know, so I mean, it was. I came along at the right time, at the right place, and went to the right team, and
you'd have been a 295-pound edge rusher.
Yeah, there you go.
Nutrition, lifting.
You would have been a hybrid Shaq Thompson linebacker safety.
Exactly.
Now, come on, stud.
Yeah. Well,
all right, man.
I probably would have gotten cut and never played.
This is a man who led the Vikings in tackles, I think, 7 times, still tied for a team record. But anyway, last one. You watch all the games and you attend all the home games, sitting right next to Bob Hagan in the Sid Hartman press box. So, in closing, Vikings at 23. What are you hoping happens with that pick, whether it's trade or player?
To be honest with you, I really don't have any. You know, I have an opinion, but I'm not going to share it.
Okay. That means you want to trade up for a quarterback.
No, I mean they've got enough holes that I think that they can address a number of them with that first pick. But it's you know, I mean, I haven't done the work. I haven't done the homework.
Understood.
I don't understand these players. I mean, I don't know these players.
But that doesn't stop us on KFAN for 3 months making a bunch of predictions, Todd. You love that.
You know, I mean, as a defensive player, I think they need to address their defense, and they need to get better there. Because you can't outscore everybody every week, and you know, that's a tribute to Kevin O'Connell and what he's done offensively. But you know, they need some help defensively. And
what do you know about Brian Flores?
Other than the reputation, not much. I haven't met him, but sounds like a no-nonsense type of guy.
Patriots, Dolphins, Steelers.
And, you know, so I think he's going to be really, really good for this football team and hopefully get him over the top.
Well, you're going to love this one to close. If he's half as good as you were as a player, I think we're going to get to the Super Bowl. Thank you, Stud.
There you go.
Scott Studwell, ladies and gentlemen. That's Vikings immortality right there. We will recap the picks and walk you up to the Vikings at 23 shortly. Las Vegas Raiders just took Tyree Wilson, Texas Tech defensive lineman. The Atlanta Falcons are set to pick next, and they are on the Vikings schedule as one of the road games. Likewise for the Raiders. And the Detroit Lions have traded to pick 12, so we still await this division rival to pick, with Chicago also on the horizon. In fact, before we go to break, the commissioner, I believe, is set for Atlanta. We may have some festivities. What are we doing here? Got Trey Young and DeJounte Murray to make this pick.
The Neil Diamond Festival. Thank goodness gracious. We can get by the way. The
Thank you,
Eagles
Rich
just
Eisen.
traded up to 9 with the Bears.
For the Atlanta Falcons pick, I'm joined by Chris and Shane from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City. Chris and Shane are a true testament to the power of mentorship. The NFL and its teams work closely with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America as part of our work on social justice through our initiative, Inspired Change. The Falcons are big-time supporters of the organization, and they're thrilled to have Chris and Shane making their pick. Okay, guys, take it away.
Atlanta. By the way, Philly traded up to 9 with the Bears. Wow. Philly went up to 9.
That's a one-pick move.
Yeah.
With the 8th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Bijan Robinson.
Running back.
Texans.
That's the most recent pick. The Philadelphia Eagles have traded with the Bears. Philly goes from 10 to 9. We will have that pick when we return to the Delta Club at U.S. Bank Stadium. NFL Draft coverage courtesy of KFAN.
Still to come, Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell and general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. The Miller Lite Draft Party continues next on The Fan.
This is coverage of the NFL Draft on The Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
It's time for the Acme Tools Spring Tool Sale this Friday and Saturday. Save 12% on your favorite power tools, machinery, and accessories from over 100 of the world's best brands. Talk shop with factory reps and try before you buy. Take advantage of our daily doorbuster deals and register to win a prize package from Ego, valued at $478. Don't miss the Spring Tool Sale this Friday and Saturday only at Acme Tools, 494 and Rockford Road, Plymouth. Do your best work.
You don't have to be officially engaged to start looking at engagement rings together. I'm a jewelry consultant here at Chain Company, and we have couples come in all the time to see our great selection. A lot of them like to pick out their top 3 rings. They make it a date, and it's fun. With so many options to create a one-of-a-kind ring, you may not know where to start, and that's where we come in. We're here to help. Chain Company has over 1,000 engagement rings in every price range, from sparkling pave styles to elaborate halo designs. High-quality rings in yellow gold, white gold, rose gold, and platinum. For your center stone, Chain Company offers all shapes and sizes of natural diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, and a broad spectrum of natural, colorful gemstones, from over a dozen colors of sapphires, to rubies, to peach morganite, and more. Come see us at Chain Company today, and have some fun picking out your engagement ring together.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business, Chain Company and ShaneCo.com.
Whether a lazy weekend spent up north enjoying Minnesota lake life, finding your favorite Juicy Lucy, or attending a music festival in the city, discovering bands that become the soundtrack of your summer. It is these precious, fleeting moments experienced together that shape us and make us who we are. Plan your dream vacation at exploreminnesota.com. Sponsored by Explore Minnesota Tourism. Aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Meat sauce here. The weather in Minnesota is getting better. Also means you're going to have to open your windows and probably let that fresh air in. If you notice your windows are bad, well, know this. Your friends are talking about how bad your windows are, but if you're noticing for the first time because you're opening them, you need new windows. You get 0% financing for 5 years from my friends at Window Nation and windownation.com. Plus, you get 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. It's the best deal in town, and it's the best deal for windows. windownation.com or call 866-90-NATION.
Hey, Twin Cities, spring is here. And you know what that means. Out with the old, in with the new. So cut the cable and switch to Verizon Home Internet. Plans start at just $25 a month with autopay and select 5G mobile plans. So you can cut down your bill and save over $330 a year versus Xfinity. And unlike Xfinity, with Verizon Home Internet, the price is the price, guaranteed. No hidden fees and no surprise price hikes. Sweep out that old cable provider, Twin Cities, and start fresh. Get fast, reliable internet so you can work, stream, and game for just $25 a month. Cut the cable and switch to Verizon Home Internet today. Availability varies. Plans start at $25 a month when combined with an existing 5G Do More, 5G Play More, 5G Get More, or one unlimited for iPhone plan. Auto pay and paper-free billing required. Price is guaranteed for 2 years. Subject to credit approval. Savings based on the standard non-promo rates of Verizon Home Internet's entry-level plans and one 5G Play More mobile line versus Comcast West's advertised standard non-promo rates for entry-level cable internet 200 meg and one mobile line. Excludes mobile taxes and fees. As of 12/31/22.
Get ready for the Walleye Opener Sale in-store at Sportsman's Guide. Now through Sunday. Save up to 55% off boating and fishing gear. Load up on trolling motors, fish finders, rods, reels, lures, and more. Reel in big deals on top brands like Garmin, Minn Kota, Daiwa, and Rapala with in-store only specials. Plus, enter for a chance to win free gear with 4 real big giveaways valued at up to $800. It's the Walleye Opener Sale, now through Sunday. In-store only at Sportsman's Guide on Hardman Avenue, South St. Paul.
Hellsberg Diamonds presents The Guy Who Did His Homework.
When it came to Jill's engagement ring, Brady knew exactly what to get.
Okay, so I came up with a design and showed it to all of our friends.
She'll love it.
Then he went to Helzberg. Their incredible selection of high-quality, lab-grown, and natural diamonds made creating that special ring easy. Her reaction?
I love it. Can't wait to tell everybody.
Everybody might know about it.
Be like Brady. Create the ring of your dreams at a Helzberg near you or at Helzberg.com. Ask now about special financing offers.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Give your lawn a professional-grade look with Pennington Contractors Mix. It provides a mix of grass seed that will provide quick establishment and dense results. Get a 40-pound bag on sale for $59.99 after rebate. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through April 30th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Draft coverage today on The Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
The Philadelphia Eagles are making a selection in the 2023 draft. It is selection number 9. They traded with the Chicago Bears, went from 10 to 9, and the Bears out of it got a 2024 fourth-round pick.
Yeah.
So basically, quick call. We want to move up, really? One spot.
And in that scenario, you say, who are you going to take?
Yeah.
If they're not taking your guy, and then you go, okay, we'll do it.
Great point.
Yeah.
The commissioner offers up the first of 2 Philadelphia Eagles first-round picks.
The Chicago Bears have traded the 9th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. With the 9th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Carter, defensive tackle, Georgia.
So they took in the first round last year a defensive tackle from Georgia. So they've gone Jordan Davis.
Yeah, well, this year they want to get the right one.
You and I disagree about that. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter.
I don't want to go down that road. He plays 15 plays a game. You can't possibly
I think you
be
do want to go
an
down that
impact
road.
player at 15 plays a game as a first-round pick. But that was last year. This is this year. But the overarcher with the Eagles, they had 3 first-round picks last year and traded 2 of them. They're the best team in the NFC. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They just missed winning the Super Bowl by an inch. And they have 2 first-round picks this year. How do they keep doing this, guys?
Doesn't seem fair, does it?
Okay, can I rewind all the way back to the Vegas Raiders pick?
Yeah.
Okay, so they end up taking Tyree Wilson. He was there, edge rusher. Christian Gonzalez is sitting there, the cornerback from Oregon.
Yes.
Right now, one of the starting outside corners that they have for the Raiders is Duke Shelley.
Let's go. The Duke is on fire.
I love Duke. I wish we could have kept him here. That's one of your starting corners right now going into the season when you had a guy like Christian Gonzalez sitting there that a lot of people think was arguably the best cornerback in the draft. I just find it fascinating that they went with sort of a very raw project, a specimen, but sort of a raw project in Tyree Wilson. Anyway,
the Bears are in the same boat in that respect.
Carry on
with just
Bears need corners.
Yeah, they need corners.
They could take Gonzalez.
I mean, they ended the season with 5 rookies out there.
Wow,
for God's sake.
And Harry Hand.
Yeah, they were struggling for bodies. I mean, yeah, they had a lot of injuries, but they're kind of in the same boat.
Charge.
Bears are on the clock. If I'm running the Bears, I'm going offensive line here, right? So I've invested all of this into my quarterback, Jalen Hurts. I'm going to give him the very best prospects of becoming a next level passer. I've got DJ Moore. I've improved his wide receivers a lot. But what I haven't improved is an offensive line that has been bottom tier for 3 or 4 years now. And the most sacked quarterback last year was Justin Fields, 55 sacks.
Yeah.
And somebody ran into some of himself. But nevertheless, offensive line to me, it puts my franchise quarterback into a position to possibly become a much better passer.
And
that's what I would do.
And there's a good one, Skoronski, that's right up the street at Northwestern. Yeah. I mean, he's literally 20 minutes away from Hallis Hall. So
true, but they got Tevin Jenkins, who they put a second rounder in 2 years ago, who's turned into a good guard. And so I think they go more traditional tackle here, but you may be correct. instead of, sort of utility lineman guard. And
so you don't think Skoronski's going to be a tackle in the league? You think he's more of a swing guy,
I think
possibly offensive guard? So then are you thinking Broderick Jones?
I am exactly thinking Broderick Jones, who I've had slated to Chicago for a while. Yes, that's exactly what I would do if I were Chicago.
Yeah, I think the surprise would be if they don't go offensive line. I mean, that would be the surprise.
Yep.
I don't know. I think they could go cornerback too.
They could.
One of the two.
Cornerbacks are back. They're starting Kildor Vindel.
Yeah.
Yeah. They need help.
Vildor Kindle. It's hard to know which is the first name.
Swap it around. I don't think it really matters. We get the point.
Right.
The Bears, we get them twice on the schedule. Obviously, they are set to pick next. After that, the Tennessee Titans. Then the Detroit Lions at 12. That originally belonged to Houston, but they traded out of it with Arizona. Arizona traded with Detroit. And here's how it's gone so far. Carolina. First overall, Bryce Young to Adam Thielen, go crazy. Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud. Then the Texans went from 12 all the way up to 3. Their new coach, D'Amico Ryans, wanted picks 2 and 3, paid in hefty fashion for it, but he'll end it with C.J. Stroud and Alabama edge rusher defensive end Will Anderson. After that, the Indianapolis Colts took Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson. Seattle goes for the first corner. That is Devin Witherspoon. Then the Cardinals traded up to 6 with the Lions. They take Ohio State offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr. Las Vegas Raiders on the Vikings schedule this year is a road game. Tyree Wilson, Texas Tech defensive lineman. The Atlanta Falcons selected Texas running back Bijan Robinson. The Vikings go to Atlanta this year. Atlanta, over the last 3 years, by the way, still trying to fortify this offense. They've taken Bijan Robinson. Last year, wide receiver Drake London. The year before that, tight end Kyle Pitts. Still trying to figure that thing out with Desmond Ridder. The Philadelphia Eagles moved up to 9, took Jalen Carter, defensive tackle from Georgia. Chicago's next, followed by Tennessee, and then the Detroit Lions.
Let's talk Tennessee for a second. They're up in 2 picks. This couldn't have gone better for Tennessee if, assuming they want to go quarterback. The Ryan Tannehill thing got so bad at the end of last year, he was effectively benched, and Will Levis is going to fall to them. Chicago's not going to go quarterback here, so Will Levis is the presumptive pick, and for Tennessee, They got the fourth of the 4 obvious first-round quarterbacks without having to move up in the draft.
Yeah, and they also need offensive line help. So we might see a couple offensive linemen go off the board here back to back.
You are correct.
The Bears are coming up here momentarily as the commissioner, I believe, was making his trek to the podium, but that just says the pick is in. Continue, guys.
Well, for Chicago, there are other needs on this team. Defensive tackle. They can still use wide receiver help. There's still things to be done.
Yep, my bad. Here comes Roger.
2023 NFL Draft. The Chicago Bears select Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee.
How about that? They got an offensive tackle, Tevin Jenkins, and I don't know, maybe they'll re-sign Bobby Massey and get Kyle Long to come out of retirement, put together an offensive line with Sam Mustipher. And, what do you the Tennessee guy? What do you guys think?
This is a good player, and I thought there were 3 really good offensive tackles in this draft, and this is the third of the 3 that I really liked. And Darnell Wright's a powerful player. He's very patient, physical, violent. He's a pancaker. He's got a big, heavy frame. He is.
That's what I worry about.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about this guy.
That is the one thing, though, that when you look at the Bears, you just mentioned he was feels most sacked quarterback in the league or whatever.
Yeah.
This is a guy in Darnell Wright that I think is a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. I think he's a mauler. I think he does play with a lot of nasty, but he's a heavy dude. He's a heavy dude, man. Like you got to be. I don't know if he has the nimbleness of his footwork. He doesn't strike me as a guy that's super light on his feet to handle a consistent NFL pass rush, because you are going to get guys that are not just 270 pounds that can rush. You're going to get guys that are 240 pounds.
Yeah, Micah Parsons coming at you, and now you need the footwork.
I would put him in the same bag as like a Penei Sewell, who is a really good run blocker, but still struggles with speed and pass protection. Although it is, if he's going to be playing right tackle, it's going to be a little bit easier for them to manage that because it's the throwing side. The quarterback's looking that way. Your tight end's usually that way. It's a little bit easier, to help that right tackle. But, for the Bears, this is definitely a need. I go back to, them trading from 1 ultimately down to 10. I don't think they got a ton for trading that number 1 overall pick, right? I think they picked up the 55th overall. So, we'll see what they get out of this pick as well. But there's a lot of rebuilding that needs to be done in Chicago, and they're going to be amassing picks, but they got the offensive line equation started.
If this offensive tackle from Tennessee, Darnell Wright, indeed starts, and he most likely will. When he goes against the Vikings, there are a couple of new defensive ends, Marcus Davenport from New Orleans and Dean Lowry from Green Bay. Pete, what do you think about those 2 free agent acquisitions by Kwesi?
I really like Dean Lowry. I mean, for his strength. They talk about his hands being so strong, meaning he can get his hands on the offensive lineman and still be able to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. I think with Dean, you're just going to have him on a pitch count. Right, I think this last year in Green Bay, the first time we played Dean Lowry against the second time we played him, he was kind of 2 different guys. He got a lot of snaps throughout the season. So I think they need someone in there that can kind of get the 50-50 with him. And if you take care of him physically, you're going to get, I think, a lot of production out of him, especially in the running game. And let's be honest, with Flores, we really don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
He was never a defensive coordinator. He was a signal caller in New England, right? And then, he goes to Miami where he's the head coach. Now, you assume that it's going to look something similar to what they did in Miami, but we really don't know what he has in store. And we really don't know what bodies fit the type of scheme that he wants to run. But I guarantee you he won't be running the same thing as we ran last year.
Okay, Charchie and Nacho Lieber. Well, now with the Bears taking the Tennessee offensive tackle, Darnell Wright, pick 10, they traded with the Eagles. Let's go even farther out. With nothing really to share with Zadarius Smith that has not been shared to this point. We'll just follow it from afar. But Danielle Hunter, set to make $5 million this season, 10.5 sacks with the Vikings last year. Danielle has made $74 million in his career, 8 years here, played 7 games total here, 20 and 2021. Does this need to be handled from a financial standpoint? Or do you roll into it as is with somebody who's made $74 million during his career here, and he then, you believe, would go against Darnell Wright, that new tackle for the Bears, and whomever else? Ben, you first.
It's unfortunate to think about, his situation, knowing that you've got an offensive-minded head coach that you're going to have to pay Justin Jefferson, regardless if you have an offensive-minded head coach or defensive-minded. You have to pay Justin Jefferson. Hawkinson's going to want a contract. Christian Darrisaw is going to deserve another contract. That's a lot of money to spread around. And, I think that, he deserves a contract. I would like to have him stay here. I think he's going to flourish in a Flores type of scheme, but I just don't know if that we can keep him happy with the fair market value of what he's worth. I'm not saying that he's going to go after a ton of money over and beyond what maybe he's worth. Even fair market value, I'm not sure that we can afford him and keep him happy.
Georgie?
Does anybody here think that Danielle Hunter has returned $74 million worth of value to this point?
I mean, the injury. I mean, that's kind of. I think that's why.
That's a fair question.
No,
it's a fair question.
I think when you sit back and you look at Danielle Hunter, you know, the last couple seasons, him not being on the field, you almost have to do it in a prove it kind of a way, right? In this respect, and say, Danielle, you know, the 3-4 thing. We know you didn't like it. It took him a while to get into it. I don't ever think he embraced it. Mm-hmm. So maybe with Flores, he'll be doing something. Because if you take Flores, if Flores comes in and puts him in the same situation that he played in last year, he'll just say goodbye. I don't think he'll want to stick around. I think schematically he wants to play like he did a couple of years ago as opposed to last year. So why don't you just put in what we're going to do, let him prove it, let him prove that he can stay healthy, and then cross that bridge when you get there. I mean, the better he does, the most likely, yes, you're going to have to say goodbye. But at the same time, you can't, I mean, what he's going to want and justify what he deserves, because when he does play, he is a difference maker. It's just a matter of no one has a crystal ball to say, yeah, you're going to be healthy. Right.
The Vikings still set to select at 23. The 11th pick is coming up shortly. It's the Tennessee Titans. Anybody care to venture a prognostication?
If it's not Will Levis, I will be stunned.
Yeah, I will be stunned as well.
90% chance.
Yeah. What about Hendon Hooker?
I'd be shocked.
At this time of the draft, yes. I mean, do they want him? Maybe they do further on down the road, but I still look at this team that needs an offensive lineman.
They do. They want to be able to run the ball.
Here we go.
They need that too.
Figure it out.
The Tennessee Titans select Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle, Northwestern.
And the Levis slide officially is underway. This is the NFL draft party at US Bank Stadium on KFAN. We have another poll question courtesy of Savoy Pizza. It's at KFAN 1003. Play along, please. Everybody's been great with that. It's at KFAN 1003 on Twitter. If the Vikings don't take a quarterback, what position should they take is the question. Your options: cornerback, defensive tackle, wide receiver, or other. And you can answer via the replies. That's at KFAN 1003. Pete Bursich, Ben Lieber, Paul Charchian, Paul Allen, US Bank Stadium. Up next, starts to get juicy. Couple of division rivals. The Lions are next, followed by the Rodgersless Green Bay Packers. We'll be right back on KFAN.
Draft coverage tonight on The Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
Hey, it's Guardsy with DIY Dave from UglyDeck.com. And if you're thinking of a DIY deck project, then skip Big Box and get your complete deck package from UglyDeck.com. You get a free deck coach from start to finish, fast free delivery of #1 grade lumber, more color options, free drawings, permit assistance, and they can install your footings and ledger for you. What else, DIY Dave?
Guardsy, homeowners love our maintenance-free upgrades like spiral stairs and our strong AFCO aluminum railing. It's carefree, rust-proof, and best of all, just beautiful.
Check out the AFCO railing and the DIY Deck Assist program at UglyDeck.com.
In life, accidents can happen, but you take care of it. You fix it and move on. But leaving a firearm unsecured, that's no accident. That's a tragedy waiting to happen. A tragedy you can prevent by taking one simple step. Use a gun lock to safely secure your firearm. Get yours at freegunlocksmn.com, because gun safety is no accident.
Moving is stressful, but setting up your internet shouldn't be. There's never been a better time to cut the cable and switch to Verizon Home Internet. Fast and reliable enough to power your whole home. And there are no annual contracts, no hidden fees, and no surprise price hikes. And with our easy self-setup, you and your entire family can connect in minutes. It's simple. No messy wires, just plug it in. So you can be working, streaming, and gaming before the moving truck even arrives. Now, when you switch to a 5G Home Plus plan, get $200 to the Home Depot. So give your new home what it needs to get up and running. The easiest part of moving is switching to Verizon Home Internet. Cut the cable today. Offer valid through 6/14/23. Must activate and maintain 5G Home Plus. Gift card registration required. Other terms and conditions apply. Visit Verizon.com/home to learn more.
You don't have to be officially engaged to start looking at engagement rings together. I'm a jewelry consultant here at Chain Company, and we have couples come in all the time to see our great selection. A lot of them like to pick out their top 3 rings. They make it a date, and it's fun. With so many options to create a one-of-a-kind ring, you may not know where to start, and that's where we come in. We're here to help. Shane Company has over 1,000 engagement rings in every price range, from sparkling pave styles to elaborate halo designs. High-quality rings in yellow gold, white gold, rose gold, and platinum. For your center stone, Shane Company offers all shapes and sizes of natural diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, and a broad spectrum of natural, colorful gemstones, from over a dozen colors of sapphires, to rubies, to peach morganite, and more. Come see us at Chain Company today, and have some fun picking out your engagement ring together.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business, Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Hi, hon. Want to tag along to the grocery store with me?
Sure, but I just filled up the car with gas, and with those prices,
Yeah, we got to be careful with groceries.
It's crazy. All the basic staples have gotten so expensive. But good news. Tina told me about this great app called Upside that pays you back big time just for using it. She said with the Upside app, she earned serious cash back on groceries and gas.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that we can actually get paid back real cash when we use the Upside app to buy gas and groceries?
Yep. Tina said they made around $200 already.
Whoa. Finally, something that pays us back money instead of costing us more. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas and groceries. Cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code RADIO19 to save an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. Remember, use code RADIO19 to save an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Buying on referrals from others is best. We've built our company on referrals from our great customers. Hi, this is Terry from Weedman Lawn Care. We have local ownership, degreed turf management staff, and the best trained techs in the greater Minneapolis area. We make your yard greener, thicker, more kid-friendly. Strive to be weed-free and do so with an environmentally sound approach to lawn care. More importantly, here's what customers say about us. Jordan B. of Savage wrote, "My lawn looks amazing, and I don't ever have to think about it. In these times, everything is demanding. Removing lawn care from that equation holds a lot of value." Thanks, Jordan. Go to Weedman USA today for a free, no-obligation quote. Weedman is recommended by landscapers, golf course superintendents, and people like Mike R. of Mounds View, who called us and said, "Your service is the best out there. The techs care about the quality of their work, and the lawn is in the best shape ever." Thanks, Mike. Go to WeedmanUSA.com for a free quote. Lawn care companies are not all alike. Go to WeedmanUSA.com today.
NFL draft coverage now continues. Presented by Red Savoy Pizza on FM 100.3 KFXN Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Fan.
Good news and the bad news of what just happened. When you watch the Vikings play the Detroit Lions, you're going to get to see a fantastic player for the Lions named Jahmyr Gibbs, a running back from Alabama. The bad news is we played the Lions twice, and I think the guy's twitchy and really good. Charge?
The closest comparison is a smaller, lighter Alvin Kamara. He is an incredibly dynamic, fast, explosive, elusive runner with elite hands and pass-catching ability. He's a three-down back who can stay on. He can pass protect. He's so slippery, so fast. The highlight reels on Jahmyr Gibbs are just sick. And which is basically the word I would use for myself thinking about the Vikings trying to stop Jahmyr Gibbs for the next several years. It's going to be difficult.
And they pair him with DeAndre Swift.
Well, I don't know. I think DeAndre Swift may be out of there because because they got Montgomery right
Big
from
deal.
Chicago.
David Montgomery, and they paid him well too.
Yeah, so
Montgomery pulls the sled.
I think there's too many opportunities for Swift to capitalize on that situation. He just didn't. I mean, there's a few drops in my mind that he had in the past game that cost them dearly. That they must have said, look, we're going to go with more of a sure thing. As much as we talked about, oh boy, if the Lions end up with this defensive player, like, oh my gosh, we're sweating this thing out. I hate it from the Vikings standpoint. We're going to have to see this guy. Like he is everything that Charge you said. He is elusive. He's electric in the open field, catching the ball in the backfield. Man, this dude's going to be a problem for a lot of defense.
And I think that may be one of the things that Detroit was looking at, because let's face it, when you play the Detroit Lions as a defensive coach, you're looking, am I going to be too high safety or single high safety most of the time? Well, it's almost too high all the time. And they still had a pretty darn good, efficient passing game. So the addition of Jahmyr Gibbs, now all of a sudden you're thinking, all right, well, if they can kill, it's not just about moving the chains on the ground. I think for Gibbs, it's about how explosive can he be? How many big plays can they make? How many long runs can he create to get defenses to have to respect him, by body count, and if they can do that, that's just going to make their passing game that much better, that much more efficient.
The Lions take Jahmyr Gibbs, and this is a selection they were able to make.
Here comes Green Bay.
Because of the trades they made earlier today, and they have so much draft equity, they can make a luxury pick at running back, not really a position of need.
Green Bay, Sands 12.
Pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Lucas Van Ness. Defensive end, Iowa.
What? That's a little surprising.
Bookender to Preston Smith. Lucas Van Ness, edge, Iowa, right in the middle of the draft, Nacho.
I love this guy, but this is kind of high for him. I think he's a outstanding football player. I think he's going to be a great one. He's a little bit undersized. He may not be an all three down type of a player yet, but this kid has power. I think he's got a lot of development left to go.
Very raw.
He is. I really do think that this kid's going to end up being a very, very good football player. It may take a little bit of time, but for Green Bay, they got themselves a good football player.
Yeah, I still think Miles Murphy is a better player overall. He's on the board, but we talk about Njigba being there, the number one wide receiver with the bullet, sitting on the board, and we were predicting before the whole draft that watch them go and actually get an offensive weapon for this offense for the first time in a while, and so everything that Rodgers was talking about, and they didn't do it, and they didn't do it again. I really think that Njigba was the guy that they needed. They should have gotten. I think they're overthinking this pick.
What do you think of this? Last year when they took those two Georgia kids in the first round, Quay Walker was one of them. They think so highly of Quay, they just took Lucas Van Ness. Now, I know you want to build depth with your linebackers, but remember, Quay was an implosion at the end of the year with meltdowns and emotional outbursts and stuff like that. So having Quay, Van Ness, and Preston Smith, that ain't bad, but it didn't work last year with 2/3 of them.
Yeah. Look, they're slightly different positions, and Van Ness is, look, I don't want to take anything away from him. I think he's a good player. We got a trade coming up with the Steelers.
Steelers traded up to 14 with Belichick. Continue?
Again, well, I don't want to take anything away from him. I think he's going to be a solid player. I just think what is on the board right now and for what the Packers, what I think that they desperately need are offensive weapons. You lost Alan Lazard.
Yeah.
You lost your tight end.
Yeah.
You've got a still kind of unproven wide receiver out there who finished the season strong.
Oh, by the way, you have a super proven quarterback, too.
With
don't
one
you?
NFL start.
Right.
Yeah, and a bad one at that.
Oh, and the depth of this draft with tight ends also has been a common thread for months, beginning with that Utah cat, the South Dakota State guy, the one from Bursich's alma mater, Notre Dame. So even, that could have fit in okay. If you're a young quarterback, you guys played, we didn't. If you're a young quarterback, isn't it cool to give him a tight end who's super reliable?
Yeah, it is. It's that if you could support him with the scheme that you're going to run, no question about that. But I don't think the Packers pick again for quite some time, if I'm not mistaken. I know that they have the first round. They have this first round nice situation for them, but they don't pick again, I don't think, for quite some time. So, this high.
Green Bay's next selection is 42.
All right, so for this high to put Van Ness in there, I think I have to agree with Ben to say another offensive weapon.
Yeah,
I think would really have helped them more.
And Lucas Van Ness goes down in history as the pick the Packers got from the Jets for Aaron Rodgers. I couldn't care less, but it's going to be tied to that with Pittsburgh on the horizon. Pittsburgh traded with New England, so Pittsburgh's next at 14. After that, the New York Jets, they get Green Bay's pick in that Rodgers deal. Then the Washington Commanders. Bryce Young first, C.J. Stroud to the Texans. Texans move up to 3, take Alabama edge Will Anderson. Indianapolis Colts take Gator Anthony Richardson. Seahawks take cornerback Devin Witherspoon. After that, we have the Cardinals trading with the Lions, getting up to 6. Harris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle, Ohio State. Las Vegas Raiders, Tyree Wilson, Texas Tech defensive lineman. Atlanta Falcons, Bijan Robinson, that Texas running back. Philly trades up to 9, takes Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia. The Bears at 10 take Darnell Wright, offensive tackle Tennessee. Tennessee Titans take Peter Skoronski. That's an offensive tackle from Northwestern. The Detroit Lions ended up with pick number 12, and they took Alabama jitterbug Jamal Charles-like running back Jahmyr Gibbs. That might be an unbelievably good pick. The Green Bay Packers just picked. They took Lucas Van Ness, the defensive end from Iowa.
We haven't seen a wide receiver get picked yet.
No, we haven't seen a wide receiver get picked.
I mean, does that help us out? I mean, because you're looking at Najigba, Johnston, and then I think Zay Flowers is right up there in that mix as well as a slot type of receiver, a wiggle type of guy. So the possibility of one of those three being on the board when the Vikings pick, I think, goes up quite a bit.
Where are the corners?
Same with corners.
Yeah. Christian Gonzalez's slide is notable. I thought he'd be gone by now. He's arguably the best cornerback in this draft, still available. The other big slide that we haven't talked enough about, Will Levis, 3 days ago, he was the odds favorite to go 2 overall. I know. And Will Levis is still on the board right now.
Here comes Pittsburgh.
The New England Patriots have traded the 14th pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They're not going quarterback.
With the 14th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Broderick Jones, offensive tackle, Georgia.
Big time run on tackles.
Yeah,
not necessarily corners. And by the way, with that deal, New England gave up 14. Pittsburgh came from 17 and also gave New England pick number 120. So Pittsburgh gets 14, takes that tackle, Broderick Jones. The Jets are next, then the Commanders, followed by New England, Detroit, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Los Angeles Chargers, Baltimore Ravens, then the Minnesota Vikings at number 23.
The Steelers had to jump ahead of the Jets, who are on the clock right now, to get a tackle because the Jets were going to take a tackle. And as I mentioned before, this is I believe in the estimation of many, a 3-tackle draft, and now they're all gone. So this puts the Jets in a bit of a crimp, and maybe the Jets even end up trading out of this pick, but I think that's why Pittsburgh made the trade. But back to Will Levis.
Well, the Jets should do what Green Bay didn't do: give Rodgers a receiver.
Well, he's got Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. I mean, they got
give him another one,
and they got Lazard.
Yeah, Alan Lazard, right?
Cut Lazard, give him another one. Or they got a lot of money into tight end, Conklin and Uzoma. But, again, we heard that how deep this tight end draft was, and they're, not necessarily the run-blocking tight end bits. They're the streak the field kind, so we'll see what they do.
And Aaron Rodgers is going to make that offensive line better in pass protection, just because of how he scrambles and extends plays and gets receivers on the same page where he can burn people deep. We know that when we played Green Bay. You didn't take an edge. You don't just pin your ears back, like teams do against us because they know their quarterback's going to sit in the pocket. So that'll help their offensive line, but I do agree with you, Paul, that they another team that needs offensive line help.
All right. Now, this is a situation where I feel like the Jets got a little bit sniped, right? They were going for offensive tackle. They didn't get their guy. We just kind of went through, they don't really need a wide receiver. Probably going to pass on that. You don't really need a cornerback. You could. Is this a situation where they get Will Levis?
The Jets and plan ahead for after Rodgers. It'd be a bold move. I'd love it.
Welcome to the Big Apple, A-Raj. We just took a quarterback.
A-Raj would get pouty and angry. Oh, it'd be great.
But Rodgers knows he's not there long term.
Yeah. Boy, you'd have to smooth that over. Does he? Does Rodgers? Does he know that?
I don't know.
We know it.
I'm not sure that he.
The way
really
he played
cares.
last year, he doesn't look like it's long term. He wasn't awful or bad.
Well, he didn't look motivated for sure.
Thank you.
He looked unhappy.
Thany you.
He's going to be in a happier situation because he's got a lot of offensive weapons. Well, Breece Hall is an unbelievable running back and he's got a lot of weapons to throw to. Is this a situation where they say, all right, we think that Will Levis is a project. He's going to learn behind one of the greatest. Will Levis has that sort of attitude, I think, a little bit maybe over cocky. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out in the ether.
Just imagine that meeting room with those two.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Ben.
No, thank you.
I think
you need Joe Flacco.
Or did they go tight end with Kincaid, another receiving threat?
What about trading the pick with Minnesota so the Vikings can go get Will Levis.
Hey.
What do you think
No,
of
thanks.
that? So the Jets just got sniped.
No.
They're motivated to move.
No.
Vikings want to move up. Levis is a guy who could use a year on the bench behind Kirk.
If they do
What do you
that,
think?
if they do that, then they should take Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, well, if I'm moving up right now, I'm going to get Kalijah Cansey, the defensive tackle. I don't think you'll have to do it this far.
Well, Christian Gonzalez
Christian
would be a
Gonzalez.
great
Oh,
pick
my
here.
heavens. Yes, the corner Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's
But
another.
many of our listeners would like to see this team get aggressive at quarterback. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. This might be the Vikings' window to move. That would, this is a 7-pick move. This might not cost you that much.
It would not cost you that much.
And again, Will Levis, the Vegas money on Will Levis 3 days ago was for him to go second overall.
And they lost all their money betting that.
Okay, you guys are going to have to be loud, or I guess at least known or unknown on this. I'm going to ask the crowd here. If the Vikings were to go up to right now to this Jets pick and take Will Levis by a round of applause, would you be happy? That is a smattering of
That's
applause.
about half or a third of the room.
Maybe less. Yeah, that's less than half the room.
Yeah. And it would probably cost
those
you next
folks all
year's
follow
first
him on
round.
Instagram too, by the way.
Yeah. What's that?
They're all Instagram fans. Those are all the ones that were cheering.
Okay, those of you who are devoted to Snapchat, how many people want Will Levis? Oh, good. There is hope for humanity.
Look, I think that's the temperature of a lot of the people in the NFL right now on Will Levis. So, I don't know. I think there might be something to that.
Puts mayo in his coffee. He eats his bananas with the peel.
Whole.
I mean, it's weird.
I mean, from a Viking standpoint with Will Levis, his offensive coordinator at Kentucky is a cat named Liam Cohen, with whom Kevin O'Connell coached with the Los Angeles Rams. So if anybody knows where the bones are buried on Will Levis, it's Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings. Cohen and O'Connell are very close. So if the Vikings come up to get Will Levis, doesn't mean it's going to work, but they would have a massive opinion on him. If not,
they'd have an inside opinion, which Paul, I think, would answer. No one has there's no question. No one's questioning his physical ability. No one's questioning, obviously, his arm strength. It's all those other things, right? It's all the off the field things. How does he conduct himself? Is he going to be a leader? Is he going to be a guy that his teammates want to play for? Those questions, can be answered by someone that you used to coach with. And so if Kevin O'Connell, and I think this is another thing, is Kevin O'Connell played quarterback. That's why we hired him, is to go find a quarterback. You'd expect that, we don't have a defensive-minded head coach.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have, you've got a situation now where you should be able to evaluate that position very well and find guys that can play that position very well. And that's why I think one of the reasons why you brought him in was to make sure that the transition from Kirk Cousins to whomever it's going to be is going to be a good one.
Perhaps Aaron Rodgers is already making his mark with the New York Jets, and he's in the draft room, and he's caused an argument over the right player to take. And former Eden Prairie High School quarterback Todd Downing, who is works with the Jets offensive staff, maybe Downing, a former Vikings coach and lifetime Vikings fan, is arguing with Rodgers over who to take. I mean, it might not, with the way things were run in Green Bay, it's going to take all of 3 minutes for Aaron Rodgers to run the totality of that team.
Well, the pick is in.
Who they Raj take?
They flashed to their war room, and multiple people were on phones. So it led me to believe that they were trying to work a trade.
Ooh.
But
pick's in. So
the pick is in. So they're not trading this pick at 15.
Now they had the rookie of the year in Sauce Gardner last year, cornerback.
Yeah.
They could still go Christian Gonzalez and just go, we're going to have 2 first-round pick cornerbacks. And that would be, you can do a lot worse in a pass-happy league than have 2 great cornerbacks.
Yep, picks coming up shortly. The New York Jets, we have a new poll at KFAN 1003. Which division foe made the best pick in the first round? Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, or you hate all of those picks? At KFAN 1003. If you would like to play along as the New York Jets. And Commissioner Roger Goodell about set to get together with a pick that precedes the Washington Commanders. After that, the New England Patriots, they move back 14-17. Then the Detroit Lions get another crack after moving back to select Jahmyr Gibbs, running back from Alabama. They did that at 12. after a couple of trades. Lions, then Buccaneers, Seattle Seahawks with their second first-round pick, the L.A. Chargers at 21, Ravens at 22, Vikings at 23. Of all those teams on the Vikings schedule, we have the Chargers, Buccaneers, obviously the Lions, and then we get up to the Green Bay Packers and the Jahmyr Gibbs team, the Detroit Lions. 15th overall pick in the draft. We are at the Delta Club at U.S. Bank Stadium on FM 100.3 KFAN. It's Pete Bursich, Ben Lieber, Paul Charchian, and yours truly, Paul Allen. We have a Friday Football Feast radio show tomorrow to recap the draft at Buffalo Wild Wings Eagan. That's tomorrow, 9 to noon, KFAN, PA, and Charch. And if the Vikings make a selection this evening, that player will join us, I'd say 80%, at Buffalo Wild Wings Eagan. So keep that in mind for the Friday Football Feast tomorrow. As the commissioner is heading to the podium, a young man by his side. Here is the first rounder of the Aaron Rodgers era and the Jets.
The NFL is proud to be part of the global community that supports the life-changing wishes that Make-A-Wish grants. With World Wish Day only a couple days away, I'm joined by Kyle Stickles, a Make-A-Wish kid who battled and overcame bone cancer. Kyle's wish is to announce the first-round pick of his favorite team, the New York Jets. I'd like all of you to join me in cheering on Kyle as his wish comes true. The floor is yours, Kyle. Go for it.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Goodell. I'd also like to thank the NFL, the New York Jets, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Northeastern New York for giving me this opportunity tonight.
Let's get it. Let's go, little buddy.
With the 15th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New York Jets.
Nice job, buddy.
Will McDonald, linebacker, Iowa State.
Whoa, that's
Ames.
That's a bit of a shocker.
Will McDonald, an edge from Iowa State, joins the Robert Saleh defense.
Wow.
And that's the pick. They got they swapped with the Green Bay in the Aaron Rodgers trade. Commanders are on the clock. Now, this is an edge, also a linebacker. Speaking of linebackers, Ben, let me begin with you. Brian Asamoah has a massive opportunity for Brian Flores and the Minnesota Vikings next season. What do you think of Brian?
I love Asamoah. I mean, he is a little bit undersized in the height thing, but he's got the super long arms where he can stand there and scratch his ankles. So I think he makes up for it. He's got to do a little bit better job of using those to get off of blocks. But we've seen the way that he can go sideline to sideline, diagnose the alley runs. He can get everywhere and he hits with a pop. So I love his attitude. Now I just got to see him flourish, hopefully, with Flores.
And I have faith that he's going to do that. I mean, the hustle, right?
Yeah.
That was the thing about Eric Kendricks when he first showed up, was how hard he worked and how hard he would pursue and chase guys. And, you look at Asamoah and the fumble that he caused in a big spot. He's already made some big plays. He gets himself in the right positions. I have a lot of faith that he's going to develop physically as well and get a little bit more weight. The thing, though, with the linebacker positions is, we need the big run stuffer, I think, personally. We haven't had that guy in quite some time. We've had some linebackers that can cover. Eric Kendricks is one of the best zone defending linebackers that I've seen in a long time. But, you got guys like Ivan Pace from Cincinnati. You got some real thumpers, I think, that are going to be around. So for Asamoah, he's going to have to sweat maybe till Saturday before he could take a breath, come through. But you come out of here with Asamoah, counting on him, I wouldn't have much of a problem with that at all.
So the Commanders are next. Christian Gonzalez, widely considered one of the top 1, 2, or 3 corners in a very deep cornerback draft.
And they need it.
I think that'd be beautiful for Washington, specifically with that Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, if he's still there, pass rush. But then after that, you get New England. That's impossible to predict because it could be Kyle Duger from Lenore Rhine, a tiny liberal arts college in North Carolina, or maybe it's a guard from Tennessee Chattanooga, which they did last year. I mean, seriously, with New England, it could be a tight end from Cal State Northridge, and really, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, and neither would you, Charge, because you hate New England's drafts.
They're all terrible. They have the worst general manager in the league, and that's Bill Belichick,
who happens to be the best head coach in the history of the NFL.
Those two statements can both be true at the same time. So I mentioned this on the morning show. Some of you already heard this, but I'll repeat this stat. Everybody the Patriots have drafted for 6 years, they have 2 Pro Bowl appearances. One is a punter who made it once, and the other was a replacement to a replacement quarterback when Mac Jones went.
Yeah.
That's it in 6 years of drafting. The Pro Bowl's not that high of a benchmark anymore. The Patriots have been a terrible drafting team. And as a result, really, they need help in a lot of places and could go a lot of directions in 2 picks. Up right now is Washington. Viking fans, I think the intrigue here is that's a team with Sam Howell as their current starting quarterback.
They love him.
They say they do.
They say
but
that.
They say
Yeah.
that, but
You're
they
gonna
didn't
say
start him until week 18.
Yeah.
If they loved him, he would have been able to beat out Taylor Heineke at some point, right? So if they don't take Will Levis, that really just leaves Tampa Bay between the Vikings and Will Levis.
Wow.
And now the Vikings may not have to move out of 23 and could potentially end up with Will Levis.
Could you imagine Baker Mayfield and Will Levis hanging out? Wow.
Some weird stuff happening there.
Weird things happening there.
Thank you.
The Commanders did add Jacoby Brissett. So that could be they're just like, all right, if Howell doesn't work out, we got this guy that's kind of been around the league as a veteran quarterback. We'll be okay. I still feel like cornerback is their probably their biggest priority, and you've got 2 of the best sitting on the board right now, in Joey Porter Jr. and Christian Gonzalez. I have a feeling that that's the direction they're going to go, and you're going to see this slide continue for Will Levis.
The pick that just happened, Will McDonald from Iowa State. The great thing about this for Viking fans is most everybody
knows who he is.
Right. Everybody had him going after the Vikings. So, I mean, you want to see teams that were picking ahead of the Vikings taking players the Vikings didn't want. And this, I don't think, was a player the Vikings wanted. This pushes the players we want down.
Well, I'm sure the Vikings would have taken Will McDonald at some point. Right.
Not at 23.
I
don't believe they would.
We don't know.
Well, this has just all the makings of the Jets doing their due diligence on Breece Hall, who was his teammate at Iowa State. I'm sure that there was a lot of work being done about how great he is. They have a lot of research on him. They felt very comfortable with him. But you also have Nolan Smith, the Georgia rush linebacker, who is undersized. I mean, Robert Salah must be thinking he's not going to fit my scheme because he's only about 235 pounds. But you talk about a beast that's explosive and all those things that you want as a rush guy that can rush from multiple angles. I think that he's probably a better rusher, but they might look at Will McDonald as more of the complete player that can play all 3 downs.
One thing I don't think Washington did count on was having their pick of the litter when it comes to wide receivers.
Here we go.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that discussion is probably happening pretty quickly right now.
Washington set to select. After that, New England, then the Lions. Here's the commissioner.
First round selection.
With the 16th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Emmanuel Forbes, defensive back, Mississippi State.
Right over Gonzalez. That's the Commander's selection. Before that, linebacker Will McDonald from Iowa State went to the Jets. The Green Bay Packers, division recap quickly. The Chicago Bears back to 10 after a trade with Philly. They took offensive tackle Darnell Wright from Tennessee. The Detroit Lions moved all around, but eventually ended up at 12. And they took Jahmyr Gibbs, running back from Alabama. After that, Green Bay, 13. They take Iowa defensive end Lucas Van Ness. Division rival Detroit is 2 picks away. And then the Minnesota Vikings set to pick at 23. From the Delta Club at U.S. Bank Stadium, you're listening to 2023 NFL Draft coverage, courtesy of your home for Minnesota Vikings football, KFAN.
Draft coverage tonight on The Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Protect vehicles, outdoor equipment, and more with Shelter Logic storage products. Menards carries a great selection of easy-to-assemble canopies, shelters, and garages that hold up against the elements. Right now, get a 10 by 12-foot round-top shelter for only $279.99 after 11% off. Good through April 30th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
In this week's Marketers Report, we hear about the importance of local radio from Allison Griffin, Head of Marketing at State Farm.
iHeart has such a broad broadcast reach that is local, and for us to be able to touch customers with a local feel but at a national scale is so efficient and important for us.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, trusted influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Hi, Mark Rosen, and this programming is supported by Flint Hills Resources, which is looking for innovators to join the team with open roles in engineering, environmental science, construction services, and field operations. Flint Hills Resources operates the world-class Pine Bend Refinery in Rosemount. The Pine Bend Refinery makes the fuels we use every day, even the jet fuel used at the airport. Explore all the exciting opportunities at Pine Bend Refinery at fhr.com/careers. Flint Hills Resources, 65 years in Dakota County.
Local and family-owned, Curbside Waste is the top choice for front-load and roll-off dumpster waste collection service. Curbside Waste offers upfront and competitive pricing to help with your waste collection needs. Visit curbsidewaste.com for your trash and recycling needs today. That's curbsidewaste.com.
To everyone who craves a fresh meal made just for you, let our team member Jacob share what's special about Culver's.
In Wisconsin, our food comes from the heart, and taking the time to handcraft your meal with care is how we've always done it at Culver's. It's why your Butterburger doesn't touch the grill until after you order, like our limited-time Smokehouse Barbecue Cheddar Pub Burger. We know you'll love it.
Come to Culver's and let us serve you a Butterburger made special just for you. From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious. To everyone who craves a handcrafted treat, let our team member Sephora tell you about a Culver's favorite.
We make our thick and creamy fresh frozen custard in small batches all throughout the day. And we mean all day, every day. From our supremely rich shakes and concrete mixers to our freshly scooped dishes and cones, we handcraft every bite to pure perfection. Making you a sweet treat with care is the best part of my day.
Come to Culver's and get a taste of our fresh frozen custard. From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious.
Hellsberg Diamonds presents The Guy Who Did His Homework. When it came to Jill's engagement ring, Brady knew exactly what to get.
Okay, so I came up with a design and showed it to all of our friends.
She'll love it.
Then he went to Hellsberg. Their incredible selection of high-quality, lab-grown, and natural diamonds made creating that special ring easy. Her reaction?
I love it. Can't wait to tell everybody.
Everybody might know about it.
Be like Brady. Create the ring of your dreams at a Hellsberg near you or at Hellsberg.com. Ask now about special financing offers.
Meat Sauce here for my incredible friends at Window Nation and WindowNation.com. They have the best deal of all time when it comes to windows. It's springtime. Your windows are going to be open. You're going to have your AC on to keep your house cool. If you have bad windows, all of that air you are putting into your home is going out your windows. You can get 0% financing for 5 years. Yes, 5 years. 0 interest from my friends at Window Nation and WindowNation.com. Plus, Window Nation will give you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. WindowNation.com.
The Impractical Jokers Drive Tour is coming to Target Center on June 15th. Tickets are on sale now at ImpracticalJokersLive.com. Don't wait. Get your tickets now.
Repeat after me. I am not a victim. Come on, you can do it. I am not a victim. Let these 5 simple words re-empower you when storm damage means it's time for a new roof, siding, or deck. And go to allaround.com. Don't form a self-help group. Sign up for bunny yoga or choke down a bunch of kale. Simply go to allaround.com for a fast, fair, free estimate. Let the experts at All Around work with your insurance company to restore your home to its former glory. Pull yourself together. You won't be told what's best for you another minute. You won't be bullied by the false claims and shoddy workmanship of the other guys. Stand up. Unless you're driving. Oh, what the heck. Stand up anyway and declare for the world, I'm going to allaround.com. And if you don't like it, go unfriend yourself. Get started today at allaround.com.
All around, we get it done, we do it right.
Red Savoy Pizza presents draft coverage on KFAN. Now back to US Bank Stadium. Here's the fans, Paul Allen.
Pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Christian Gonzalez, defensive back, Oregon.
And that gets us to the 18th pick in the 2023 draft, which is the Detroit Lions. But the second corner has been drafted. Devin Witherspoon went 5th to Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. And now at 17, Belichick in New England take Christian Gonzalez, a cornerback from Oregon. Detroit is next, followed by Tampa Bay, Seattle with its second first-round pick. Then the LA Chargers, Baltimore Ravens, and then the Minnesota Vikings. Welcome back to Minneapolis on KFAN. Paul Charchi and Ben Lieber, Pete Bursich. I'm Paul Allen. The player just selected, Christian Gonzalez. Very, very highly touted gentleman.
In the minds of many, the best cornerback in this draft, and he falls all the way to pick 17. I don't think anybody anticipated this. I did not.
From a height, weight, and speed, and what he did on film, he was the safest pick. He's the most likely corner to have a lot of success. And there were no question marks per se when you look at him. And it was Witherspoon, I think, won the hearts and minds of coaches because of the way he played the game. I mean, he's not very big, not very heavy, but he hits like a freight train, loves the game, talks smack. His attitude is, he's a fighter. I think that's what won him over, and for him to get picked so early by Seattle. So, and I think the craziest part now is that there has not been a wide receiver picked yet. So Detroit, there's no way. I mean, maybe I don't know. At 18,
Detroit's not going wide receiver. No,
to stand and stare one in the face.
Detroit's, I believe, is going to snipe the best defensive tackle on the board.
Elijah Cansey?
Elijah Cansey is going to go here, I believe, but we'll find out.
The human fire hydrant.
Now, where it gets interesting for the Vikings.
I don't know if Elijah Cansey fits what they want to do.
What do they want?
He's not that big.
But he's a 3 technique in a 4-3 defense, a 4-3 front, generally speaking.
They play some 5-man front too.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Well,
I'm just saying. I don't know.
That means they need Clancy because he looks like he looks like 2 people.
Yes, he does. But you can't tell me that you going into this draft, you would put Clancy and Enigma right. Between the two of them, you'd say this guy Clancy's going to be better than the wide receiver.
I mean, I'm thinking you shipped kind of all in on corners in free agency. Mosley can play, the former Niner, but he's coming off injury. I don't know much about Sutton, the former Steeler, but they love him. They got Aiden Hutchinson. You get the right 3 technique here, give you 6, 7, or 8 sacks.
Yep.
Good luck, NFC North.
Maybe this is their situational pass rusher, Nolan
Miles
Smith.
Murphy.
Yeah, could be. Yeah,
this could be their guy. They're like, all right, maybe we feel like we're free rolling a little bit here with the guys, and they could bring more heat with a guy like Nolan Smith that, again, could drop in coverage. He could rush. I mean, I just got done talking about how much versatility he could give you. Maybe not a run stopper per se, but, I think he's a super talented guy that could wreak some havoc.
What happens if Jackson Smith and Jigba falls to the Vikings at 23? Which I did not see any scenario of.
A scenario
and,
at all.
that's now, I've been firmly on defensive tackle and cornerback for the Vikings. That could change my thinking.
I think if Zay Flowers is standing there staring at your face, or Quentin Johnston, any one of those guys, I think any of those 3, you really have to pay attention to. Those are the top tier of the 3 wide receivers. So
if Porter Jr. is still there, even if you have Njigba,
right.
And if you want to press man corner,
it's like
if you want a press man type guy, then Porter's your guy.
I still just look at where we have faltered the last 2 years. The Lions selection's in right now, but it's not on offense. Like we can produce points.
Correct.
It's like we cannot win games defensively.
All right.
And so that it would still annoy me.
We give away wins on defense.
We just give away
Let's see what the Lions are going to do along with Jahmyr Gibbs.
With the 18th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Jack Campbell, linebacker.
Linebacker from Iowa?
Wow.
Well, here's what we've talked about.
Well, Malcolm Rodriguez did quite well for them in undersized fashion, but I'm not going to call him a dominating linebacker, which means if you think it's Teddy Lehman, you're wrong. The last dominating linebacker I think they've had is Chris Spielman. So they're going to continue. I'm not kidding you, man. They've had some guys that have been okay. I don't know much about Jack Campbell. What do you guys think?
Well, they obviously must not love Malcolm Rodriguez as much as he was he was the stud on.
He was an all-rookie player
on Hard Knocks.
Wow.
Look, they just gave Anzalone another contract. So so they obviously love him. This is a huge surprise to me. I think Jack Campbell's a great player.
Yeah.
I think he's a super productive player. He fits the mold. I mean, you think about Dan Campbell, the coach, and what Jack Campbell can bring in, the old school linebacker, fits the mold of a typical Iowa linebacker, tough, can do all those things, rangy, big. I think it's a good player, but I'm not exactly sure it was a true position of need based with what's left on the board.
So Detroit picks 12 and 18, and they come away with a running back and a linebacker. Right? And then you look at Green Bay.
Everybody wants edges and corners.
Right. And Green Bay takes Van Ness, who no one really knows about. I think he's a hell of a good football player. It's kind of like you're sitting there going, the Bears took a tackle. All right, yeah, that's what we expected. We were staring a lot of, the ability for a lot of scary talent to get, especially to a place like Detroit. So, they need a linebacker? I don't know. I think, Anzalone is starting, I think, show his age a little bit.
Wow. I think he's playing great.
Yeah,
when he was with New Orleans, he missed 10 games every year.
They did just give him a contract, right?
I think
they
so.
just re-signed him.
Tampa Bay, by the way.
Tampa Bay ran to the podium.
Yeah, they did.
So they're taking Will Levis here, I think.
What about Hendon Hooker?
I think it'll be Levis. We'll find out.
Well,
the Levis slide here
excited.
it's probably the biggest story of this draft is Will Levis' slide.
Mm-hmm.
It could easily end it here. Obviously, Tampa desperately needs quarterback help. But for the Vikings, this thing's starting to crystallize, guys.
Yeah.
There's going to be a really good player who's going to hit Minnesota on a defensive player. We've got there's not enough need for the defensive players the Vikings want in these next couple of picks. Brian Bruzzi, Kalijah Cansey and Joey Porter. One of those, some combination of those guys are going to be there for Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Seattle's going to go in Jigba as well. I think they're just going to bolster their wide receivers.
You think so?
With Metcalf and Lockett.
Wow. I don't think so. We'll see.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. But I think they go Miles Murphy.
No, how do you not take the best?
You
guy
love Miles Murphy.
I love Miles Murphy.
They need DN badly. I think that's going to be their pick. Tampa here, it's if they were not to go quarterback, I'd be surprised. I would be shocked. I got to feel like this was a sort of best case unexpected scenario for Tampa. And if they pass on Will Levis, does he go in the first round? The Vikings would be the only and next stop for a team that might need a quarterback here. It'd be that would be fascinating.
If they pass, is there like a Laramie Tunsil, face ball picture that we just don't know about?
Levis is at the draft. They just showed him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's just cooking in there in that green room.
Yeah, that's we mentioned earlier the first. Oh, here we go with Tampa Bay.
Richard, let Kansas City.
With the 19th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Kalijah Cansey, defensive end, Pittsburgh.
Oh, boy.
Will Levis, Kentucky quarterback, still there. So those who felt Seattle could take a quarterback at 5, well, now they can take one at 20. If they want Will Levis to back up Geno Smith, then it's the LA Chargers. They ain't taking a quarterback. Baltimore and Lamar Jackson just got together on a massive deal.
Yep.
They ain't taking a quarterback. And then you get the Minnesota Vikings. And I personally speaking, I don't think they would take a quarterback at that spot. I'm speculating, but nevertheless, that's how it's stacking up with Kalijah Cansey, the defensive tackle, human bowling ball / fire hydrant from Pitt. He goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are on our schedule. We play them at home this year. Likewise for the LA Chargers, 2 picks away. Vikings get them at home. But here we go. We're getting into the 20s, boys. and the Vikings pick 23. What do you think?
I think Joey Porter is getting close.
I think
That's
Joey Porter's getting close. I still love Miles Murphy. I still think between the best defensive line and the best corner available, I think that's where we should look.
Brian Bruzzi's name is needs to come up right about here. He is a 3 technique, very good against the run, super physical, great burst. You'll see him. He's got surprising amount of lateral movement, despite being a big, heavy anchor guy. I think that's.
I like it.
He's had.
I'd like to see him fall to Minnesota.
He had some injury issues, though. If I'm not correct,
He had a little bit of injury issues.
And I know he had a younger sister that passed away, so he's overcome quite a bit.
Yeah.
But the attitude, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this highly though.
Yeah, I think
I agree with Ben though that you're looking at corner, you're looking at
I think his value is right where it could be. I actually expected Miles Murphy to be drafted before this.
Yeah.
So to have both those guys available, I think it would be great. I think the injury concern, though, I think one of the things, if I'm not mistaken, was some sort of weird, freakish infection that he got. So I don't think that's going to come back to haunt him by any means. But a player to watch.
Well, at our Twitter spot with the polls at KFAN 1003. Thank you, Savoy Pizza. The most recent. How about this? Will Levis and Hendon Hooker. Now they're both available, and pick 20 is coming up with Seattle. The poll: what if both Levis and Hooker are available at 23? Your options: take Levis, take Hooker. I don't like either at 23. The leader of those 3 options with about 1,000 votes so far is take Levis at 48%. Now, again, with Will Levis, meat hooks for hands. When the Vikings were at the Combine, one of the first things Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah analyzed with this Kentucky quarterback, Will Levis, was his hand size. And he has meat hooks, just big hands to grip that football. And that's generally speaking something people look for in quarterbacks and do so early. His offensive coordinator at Kentucky, Liam Cohen, he and Kevin O'Connell are quite close. They were together with the LA Rams. That means it's going to go one of 2 ways. They either would consider Levis because of what they know, even though they have an accomplished quarterback on roster, and they happen to like Nick Mullins, the backup, markedly more, I'm pretty sure, than people think. And Mullins hasn't had many chances in his career, but they do like Nick. Or on the other side, when you know somebody as well as KOC knows that offensive coordinator for the Wildcats, maybe it's like now you don't really want anything to do with him.
Exactly.
And you don't take him, and he continues to slide like into the second round. So Kirk Cousins, as of now, is set to be an unrestricted free agent following the 2023 season. And, in Kevin O'Connell's second year, and assumedly Cousins executing an offense with the same play caller for 2 consecutive years for the first time in his career.
Yeah.
That's something that excites me. And when it comes to the deals or lack thereof, well, that's between the Vikings and the player. But nevertheless, that's all fact with Kirk Cousins. I'm excited for O'Connell and Cousins year 2, now that they can be more symbiotic than year 1. And year one was pretty good.
Yeah, year one was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, Charch, I'm with you on this. I think we see eye to eye on this. All the question marks surrounding Kirk Cousins, whether or not he's a fourth quarter quarterback.
Solved. Yeah. No question.
I feel like a lot of question marks that he had when we picked him up in free agency, they've been answered. He's kind of checked a lot of those boxes. He's become more mobile. Not exactly the modern quarterback, but he's not afraid to run as much as he used to be. His pocket awareness and pocket movement's gotten better. The protection of the ball in the pocket's gotten a lot better. He used to get hit all the time and fumble. That's gotten a lot better. This ability to lead a team in the fourth quarter. What do you have, 8 this last season?
Yeah, unreal.
8, and then what happened?
Fourth quarter comebacks.
And then the defense fell apart, time after time after time.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what Kirk can do, but the Vikings do have to think about life after Kirk Cousins. So that's why obviously all the attention's been on all these quarterbacks in this draft.
Let me hit you with 4 players for the Vikings and tell me who you want. Some combination of these 4 are 100% going to be here for the Vikings. So we've only got 3 picks left between now and when the Vikings go. Every wide receiver is available. Yeah. So your favorite wide receiver, I believe it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, based on production and the history he's had. Cornerback Joey Porter, the hard-hitting press man coverage cornerback.
Stop it right there for me.
Defensive tackle Brian Bruzzi, the 3 technique, great against the run, the big anchor guy, or defensive end Myles Murphy. Give me one pick for the Vikings.
Myles Murphy.
Make your case. I think most of our listeners don't know a lot about Myles Murphy.
Well, I think Myles Murphy and Brzee are very similar. I think Myles Murphy is a touch more explosive when it comes to just like that twitch that you're looking for. Brzee is probably the guy that's like more your lunch pail guy. He can give you a lot, but I don't know if he can give you as much pass rush as like a guy like Myles Murphy. And we were saying at the top of this broadcast, if we're going to help out our secondary, as much as I love Joey Porter Jr., and I can't believe that he could be there when we have to pick, I still think long term you help your secondary by hitting the quarterback in the face and making him run. So I'm all about stopping the run and getting to the quarterback and causing pressure. You do that with high.
The other thing Murphy's got going for him is he's like an egghead. He's like a astrophysicist, or whatever. Well, no, I mean, so he can walk into the GM's office and they could talk numbers and stats and number theory and everything else.
We just drafted Einstein trying to win 14 games. I want Joey Porter Jr. For multiple reasons, but how about this? Maybe tomorrow at the Friday Football Feast, Buffalo Wild Wings Egan, Joey Porter Jr. shows up with the father, Joey Porter, and we start chopping
there
it up.
There you
go. Football. What was it like in 2009 when we were 6-0 and Nacho played on the team and Favre started dropping it at Heinz Field, and I think he may have had one. But Joey Porter Jr., super physical, press corner, Flores, it just ends up.
And let me say this, too. I think the man-to-man type coverage is a strength of Byron Murphy as well. I think Byron Murphy is a guy that can do that, absolutely. And, he's not a jam-up, cover 2 type of a corner. So if you do get Porter in here and you have Byron Murphy in here, now you've got 2 corners that can hold up on the outside and play man-to-man quite a bit. So, again, we have to go back to Flores and what style of defense is he going to run, and is Porter going to be a fit? I think, Myles Murphy, you don't find guys that big that run as well as he do. They don't just grow on trees.
Like Daniil.
So either one of those guys, I think, would be a huge boom.
Well, that's the thing is like the question that we're given.
Here we go.
I'd be happy with anyone.
Seattle took Devin Witherspoon, a corner, with 5. What are they going to do now with pick number 20? Here's the commissioner.
Got it. The Seattle Seahawks are champions of growing the game of football at the youth and high school levels. Joining me on stage are local boys tackle football players and local girls flag players who are pioneers in flag football growth. These young men and women embody the NFL values of respect, integrity, resiliency, and responsibility to their teams. Congratulations on your accomplishments in your academic and football careers. Now to make the selection, please welcome Bethany Uribe. Go ahead, Bethany.
With the 20th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Jackson and Jigba.
There you
Attaboy.
Nice call, Ben.
Yep. Well done, Ben.
With Metcalf and Lockett, hell of a call right there, man. Let's pause. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Ohio State wide receiver, very gifted, goes to the Seattle Seahawks, who also took cornerback Devin Witherspoon. And now, pick number 21, the LA Chargers on the Vikings schedule as a home team sometime this season. Then the Ravens, then the Minnesota Vikings. We pause. It is 2023 draft coverage from the Delta Club at US Bank Stadium on KFAN.
This is coverage of the NFL Draft on the Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
Hey, Twin Cities, spring is here. And you know what that means. Out with the old, in with the new. So cut the cable and switch to Verizon Home Internet. Plans start at just $25 a month with autopay and select 5G mobile plans. So you can cut down your bill and save over $330 a year versus Xfinity. And unlike Xfinity, with Verizon Home Internet, the price is the price, guaranteed. No hidden fees and no surprise price hikes. Sweep out that old cable provider, Twin Cities, and start fresh. Get fast, reliable internet so you can work, stream, and game for just $25 a month. Cut the cable and switch to Verizon Home Internet today. Availability varies. Plans start at $25 a month when combined with an existing 5G Do More, 5G Play More, 5G Get More, or one unlimited for iPhone plan. Auto pay and paper-free billing required. Price is guaranteed for 2 years. Subject to credit approval. Savings based on the standard non-promo rates of Verizon Home Internet's entry-level plans and one 5G Play More mobile line versus Comcast West's advertised standard non-promo rates for entry-level cable internet 200 meg and one mobile line. Excludes mobile taxes and fees. As of 12/31/22.
We're here with Nate. True or false? Most people lie on their online dating profiles, but not you.
True.
Turns out you live with your mom and you're not a hedge fund manager. You're a hedge trimmer.
I gotta go. Bye.
Look, people, it's just lunch. It's a dating service you can trust. Guaranteed dates with busy professionals like you, vetted by expert matchmakers who help you find real connections. Visit It's Just Lunch, TwinCities.com or call 612-355-2727 to learn more.
Hey, it's Guardsy with DIY Dave from UglyDeck.com. And if you're thinking of a DIY deck project, then skip big box and get your complete deck package from UglyDeck.com. You get a free deck coach from start to finish, fast free delivery of #1 grade lumber, more color options, free drawings, permit assistance, and they can install your footings and ledger for you. What else, DIY Dave?
Guardsy, homeowners love our maintenance-free upgrades like spiral stairs and our strong AFCO aluminum railing. It's carefree, rust-proof, and best of all, just beautiful.
Check out the AFCO railing and the DIY Deck Assist program at UglyDeck.com.
Stubbornness and riding a motorcycle. That's a bad mix, right? Like refusing to wear a helmet or refusing to observe the speed limit. But then there are the stubborn who refuse to lose control, refuse to take a turn too tightly, and who would never miss out on a rider training course. See, being safely stubborn on a motorcycle is a good thing. Always wear proper gear. Enroll in a rider training program today at motorcyclesafety.org.
A message from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety.
Hi, hon. Want to tag along to the grocery store with me?
Sure, but I just filled up the car with gas, and with those prices, we gotta be careful with groceries.
It's crazy. All the basic staples have gotten so expensive. But good news. Tina told me about this great app called Upside that pays you back big time just for using it. She said with the Upside app, she earned serious cash back on groceries and gas.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that we can actually get paid back real cash when we use the Upside app to buy gas and groceries?
Yep. Tina said they made around $200 already.
Whoa. Finally, something that pays us back money instead of costing us more. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas and groceries. Cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code Radio19 to save an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. Remember, use code Radio19 to save an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Everyone knows that spring cleaning can be a real drag. And if you're tired of that old car sitting in your driveway, a great solution is to donate it to Cars for Kids. Cars for Kids makes it so easy to get rid of any old vehicle. Just call 1-877-CARS-4-KIDS or visit their website at carsforkids.org and they'll pick up your car, sometimes as soon as the next day. The best part is you get a tax deduction and free vacation voucher for a 3-day, 2-night hotel stay. Thousands of people have saved themselves hours of time and hassle simply by donating to Cars for Kids. They'll handle everything from towing to paperwork. Scheduling your pickup takes just about 2 minutes. The car will be gone and the money will go to a great cause. You know what they say, one man's trash can change a child's life forever. So go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org. Now, or call 877-CARS-4-KIDS to schedule your pickup. And remember, that's cars with a K.
More than 15 million students across the country lack reliable access to the internet at home and often can't do homework or virtual learning outside of school. Through Project 10 Million, which provides free hotspots and internet connectivity for eligible students in underserved communities, Kids in Need Foundation, Metro by T-Mobile, and Project 10 Million are working together to foster equity in education and working to ensure children have the resources they need to learn. Thank you, Metro by T-Mobile and Kids in Need Foundation, for supporting our students.
Red Savoy Pizza presents draft coverage on KFAN. Now back to US Bank Stadium. Here's the fans, Paul Allen.
He is I, and they are Minnesota Vikings fans and football fans here at US Bank Stadium, specifically the Delta Club, as the 21st pick in the draft is about ready to take place. The LA Chargers on the Minnesota Vikings schedule the season as a home opponent. We hook the AFC West in the NFC South, and now pick 21, courtesy of Commissioner Goodell.
Now here come the Chargers.
With the 21st pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Quentin Johnston, wide receiver,
Good Lord.
TCU.
Holy cow! Yep, they got big boy. Now it's the Ravens, then the Vikings. First, the Chargers with this wide receiver taken. What do you guys think?
Well, they're planning ahead for Keenan Allen's eventual retirement and potential Hall of Fame induction, actually. And, looking ahead, and this is a team that has had to try to put together wide receiver depth on the fly with a lot of injuries to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and so they felt like they needed help here. And so Quentin Johnston is tall. He's got a big frame. He's strong, yet he's still fast. He's got a big catch radius. I think they wanted another big physical receiver.
Yeah, I think this one makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's exactly what they like. They like these big, tall receivers. Keenan Allen's a little older. Mike Williams is older as well. They're both bigger body guys. So he fits the mold of what they have going offensively with Brandon Staley. So, look, I think that makes a lot of sense here. I think the Ravens on the clock right now will probably be looking at Joey Porter Jr.
Yep.
And, going back to the 20th pick with Seattle, Seattle addressed a lot of the defensive line question marks that they had with Jaron Reed and Draymond Jones. So it basically was like, who's the best offensive player available? And that's why they went in Jigba.
At KFAN 1003, we have another poll with the Minnesota Vikings 2 picks away. Baltimore Ravens are next. Lamar Jackson and Baltimore got together today on a new contract. And the Ravens go to the Vikings. After that, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The poll at KFAN 1003 via Twitter. Thank you for playing along. This just posted. Now that we're getting close, who do you want at 23? Vote away at KFAN 1003 via Twitter. Options: best defensive player, wide receiver or tight end, quarterback, or trade back for picks. I just hit trade back for picks, which is in second behind best defensive player, but we only got a couple of votes. Vote away at that at KFAN 1003 via Twitter. All right, Charchie, where are we? And what do you think's coming up with the next 2?
We're 2 picks away, and there are some great defensive players still on the table. So many so that I think the trade down for the Vikings could make sense. They could trade down 5, 6, 7 picks and still get a great player. I know. It'd be a bummer, wouldn't it?
But it is.
What do we not like about that?
Though, right?
Tactically, it makes. Well, it's because we're all here. We're at the draft party. We want to see a pick get made.
Friends, we have 5 draft picks. I mean, there's not a lot you can do with 5 draft picks. So, I mean, just to come back a little bit, you might be able to get somebody you like, and I don't know, maybe trade with Green Bay and give them Christian Watson. Oh, wait, no, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
We'll see what's coming up. It's 2 picks away. But like Mike Tice once said at a draft party at Winter Park, okay, calm down.
There are, in my estimation, 2 really good defensive ends still left, 2 really good defensive tackles left, and there's cornerback Joey Porter. It's 5 defensive players I'd be really, really happy with.
And that girl right there just chewing somebody up.
So yeah, this the Vikings could. I think the move down that we all kind of expected to me is still very much in play if there are willing suitors to move up, because there are so many good players, defensive players left. Maybe some teams don't feel the same compulsion to move up. You get then Vikings need somebody to trade with.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's that you have to have a trade partner. We talked about that. You have to think about what are the teams behind you collectively. What are multiple teams looking for?
Right.
Is the run on wide receiver happening right now? So if that's the case, even if you move down a couple picks, when we say trade back, I don't know if we trade all the way back with like Kansas City or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we just move back a couple picks, that way, if you miss out on Porter Jr. or Nolan Smith, who's there,
I'm
believe
shocked
he's
Nolan
there.
Smith's available.
Miles
Yes.
Murphy, Mozzie Smith from Michigan, the big body guy up front.
I love him.
You love him. Brian Brzee is there from Clemson. So you have to be strategic now how far you drop back, because if you all keep those guys sort of at the same level, the same grade and same value, you still want to have your chance to pick one of those guys and not miss out on all of them and be stuck.
Well, when we were talking about trading back, and one of them, I think Paul Charchian said it, we had a negative response here from the crowd, and that's fine because we all have opinions and you guys are impassioned, and that's awesome. So let me just lay this KFAN 1003 via Twitter poll in front of you, and just by applause, if you like this option, make a lot of noise. What do the Vikings do at 23? Best defensive player. Okay. Wide receiver or tight end. Quarterback. Trade back for picks. We got elite football minds here at the Delta Club. What about you guys?
The Will Levis story is an epic one that this has changed so much in the span of less than a week. I mentioned it earlier. There was talk of him going as early as number 1, number 2, or top 4, and that was
and maybe that's the catch though. The idea of him going number 1, at least the rumors that I saw online were perpetuated by him and his
agent.
Ziggy's pacing.
Yeah, it could be.
It's like, was that something that the teams were talking about? The knock on Will Levis a little bit is like, is he a little bit too big for his britches? And was he telling people, I'm going number 1?
Wow.
Yeah, maybe.
And they bet it.
Maybe.
Wow. Yep. I mean, the way you guys have laid this whole thing out, it just sounds like the new version of Zach Wilson. I mean, a lot of it does.
No, it does.
I mean, seriously, Zach Wilson, second overall pick in the draft. Hey, future of the franchise. Look at the intangibles and everything. Well, they just gave up everything to get Aaron Rodgers. They love Zach Wilson so much.
We are on the clock here.
Vikings are on the clock.
Yep.
I've seen the Ravens pick via social media. I won't disclose it here. We won't. We'll enjoy it together.
We'll see what happens.
You say it like it's Joey Porter.
What we did see with the Vikings draft room here via NFL Network, owner Ziggy Wilf, team president and co-owner Mark Wilf, they were kind of circumnavigating and taking the circuitous route around a desk that had Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the general manager, along with Kevin O'Connell, the head coach. No high-fiving. There were some smiles. Ziggy he's a noted pacer and a
noted pacer.
Fingernail chewer when it gets to be a little tense. Looked like that was what was happening at that moment. So we will see what happens with the Vikings after the Baltimore Ravens pick. Again, the Ravens got together with their quarterback Lamar Jackson, representing himself on some massive deal that averages like $50 million a year, which is unbelievable that he actually got that. But God bless America. And the Ravens have made their pick, but the selection has not been announced yet. Then the Minnesota Vikings, and we've kind of laid it out here what the options are via our poll at KFAN 1003 via Twitter. We've talked about a lot of players.
Yep.
The Ravens have selected. Here comes the commissioner. Then the Vikings are on the clock.
With the 22nd pick in the 2023 draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Zay Flowers. Wide receiver, Boston College.
There you go, Zay Flowers. Yep. Oh, a run on wide receivers, by the way, that's precipitous. It's three consecutive.
Straight. Yes.
With Smith and Jigba from Ohio State going to Pete Carroll. L.A. Chargers take Quentin Johnston, wide receiver TCU. Here's Zay Flowers from Boston College. And now the Minnesota Vikings officially are on the clock for the 2023 draft. Oh. They have no second-round pick. They have 5 picks total. They had 4, but they got a compensatory pick for former tight end Ty Conklin.
I think the only way that they're trading down now, Paul, is if somebody wants to step up and grab a tight end, like Dallas. If Dallas wants to step up and grab a tight end. Other than that, you look at who's left, and the two you do have now. Joey, you have to make a decision: Joey Porter Jr.
Yep.
or Miles Murphy. Or, even Nolan Smith. I mean,
how would you like to have a defensive end that can run a 4.38?
I don't care how fast he can run. I just want him to be able to play. Nolan Smith can play.
Well, yeah.
I'm not
starting D end at Georgia. You can play ball. There's a wealth of options that I did not think would be available for Minnesota here.
No, I did not think that either Murphy, maybe Nolan Smith, but I didn't think Murphy would be around or Joey Porter. So you're going to come away with a good football player regardless of how this turns out.
Well, let's venture guesses. I will begin predicting the Vikings trade out of this pick and trade back. Paul?
Same.
Ben?
Yeah, I could see them trading back.
Pete?
Yeah, I could see him trading back with Dallas.
If they were to take a player, Pete, who do you think it would be?
Oh, my goodness. It's either going to be Joey Porter Jr. Or Nolan Smith, I think.
Ben? If they take a player.
Nolan Smith.
Defensive end Nolan Smith.
I say Joey Porter Jr.
Yep.
If
I'd be happy with all these.
Yeah.
These are all great. These are all be great options.
And I think that's a prudent thing to do if indeed that's the style of defense that we want to play. Is if that's the way that we're going to go defensively. Again, we don't know really what type of scheme that we're going to run defensively. We have an idea, but we don't know for sure. So, that's where Flores, we wondered what his impact was going to be on this team.
Yep.
Defensively, you knew it was going to be attitude, right? Toughness, attitude. He's no nonsense. That's the kind of guy that he is. Is he going to bring anything, is he going to bring that also to the draft room and say, hey, I'm going to stand on the table for a guy who can play press man, long arms, jam a receiver up the line of scrimmage, and then bring in someone like Porter. That's because we need the bodies, man.
Yep.
We definitely need the bodies on the outside. No question about that.
I think the thing with Nolan Smith is if that's where we go and Charch and I get our way, that I don't think it really matters what scheme you run. I think that he is position and scheme flexible.
Right.
I'm not saying that he can man the middle as an inside linebacker in a 3-4, but you just move him around.
Yeah.
You just find ways that he's a slippery athlete that has a tremendous amount of explosiveness and bend, and he's relentless. And he, in a Georgia locker room, think about the alpha males in the Georgia locker room.
No kidding.
He was the most vocal and the leader of that defensive locker room. What has our defense been missing for the last couple of years? Even though we've had some tremendously good players, really quiet players.
Yep. Yeah, Harrison Smith.
We need a loudmouth on this defense. So if anything, he could bring that.
Are you coming out of retirement?
I was not a loudmouth on defense.
We're not even talking about Will Levis as an option. Nobody here. I can assure you, listeners,
no, thank you,
right now that are saying to themselves, why are they so obsessed with defense? We need a quarterback. We have a quarterback.
We
have quarterbacks on an expiring contract. I can assure you there are listeners right now that want the Vikings to go Will Levis here.
Well,
of course.
Yeah, if no one else was on the board, maybe, but you've got too many other good options in places that we need to make that decision.
There are listeners who want Hendon Hooker. There are listeners who want defensive ends. Draft Party is on NFL Network right now, and everybody's loving it here at U.S. Bank Stadium. Pete Bursich, Ben Lieber, Paul Charchian, yours truly, Paul Allen, at the Delta Club, adjacent to the field here at U.S. Bank Stadium, and we would be behind the Vikings bench at about the 40-yard line on the west side of U.S. Bank Stadium, at least that side of the 50. And the Minnesota Vikings are set to select. They have cut away from the NFL Network coverage, so I don't exactly know how many minutes are left before the Vikings select. But we have sliced and diced our way through this thing, not only on KFAN, but so many of you on social media. At Vikings.com with Tatum and Gabe doing the great work they do. The top 30 dinner has taken place. The combine has taken place. The pro days have taken place. All the sneaky meetings have taken place. And now it culminates with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, in 2.5 minutes, making the second first-round decision of his young career as general manager of the Minnesota Vikings. Last year, they traded from 12, went all the way back to 32 for Louis Cine, who joined us earlier on this show. And then the Detroit Lions took Jamison Williams with that pick. The Vikings own pick number 23, and we are 2 minutes away. So far, no indicators of any form of trade.
But notice they're using up their clock, right? You're waiting for that phone to ring. You get the last-minute phone call with a deal that you love. This is not a run to the podium moment for the Vikings. This is them trying to milk this out and make sure they don't get an offer.
There's been very little movement from a trade standpoint in this
Not in a
draft.
while.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
since Arizona, Houston, and Detroit just went bonkers.
Yeah, we had 4 trades in the first 17 and nothing since then.
All right.
Do you have any guesses if we trade back who they would trade with?
Dallas.
I think it would be somebody early in the second round.
Philadelphia.
You think trade out of the first round?
I think it's a chance.
Yep. Philadelphia's got a lot of ammo in this draft, so they could go from 31 up here to 24 because they've got requisite picks to do it. So they could be a potential trade partner here. And their biggest need left on the board for Philadelphia is defensive end. And here's Nolan Smith or Miles Murphy. So I think Philadelphia would make a ton of sense, Ben.
Yeah.
1 minute.
New Orleans, it makes sense too.
I was
I
gonna
mean,
say,
not from an equity point, but from a standpoint that they need defensive linemen as well.
I could see the Bills making a move as well, or possibly the Saints as well. Pete, I'm with you on that.
The Bills needed a wide receiver, so they just saw their world get crushed in 3 picks. You know what I mean? So I'm sure they had their fingers crossed. But
40 seconds.
Ooh,
40
taking this thing
seconds
down to the wire.
Yeah, they're milking the whole thing. Picks in.
Pick
All right.
is in.
No trade.
Here we go.
Vikings have held at 23.
Here we go. What's it going to be? Defense, quarterback, trade back?
Well, it's not trade.
It's not
Picks
trade
in.
back.
Wide receiver Addison after this run of wide receivers?
I hope not.
We will pause shortly after the pick, then we will react.
Oh, boy.
By the way, Kevin O'Connell, coach of the Vikings, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, scheduled to join us within the next 10 to 15 minutes, so make sure you don't leave for that. Vikings have made their pick. It is the 23rd pick in the draft. There will be no trade back, so we have 4 picks remaining after this, and the second first-round pick in the young tenure of new general manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has been made. Will they fortify a defense or amplify an offense that already is good? Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, Kevin O'Connell, Ryan Grigson, the right-hand man to the GM. There's Andy Canutis with his camera rolling around, getting reaction. A lot of celebratory people.
Very, very happy. They're never unhappy when they make their pick.
Right.
They're never forlorn.
I don't know.
Wait,
Grigson's chest bumping people. You think they drafted a lineman, offensive lineman.
There you go. Grigson's a big guy, too. You gotta be careful with that guy. Yeah, he can chest pump you through a wall. You gotta be careful with that.
Boy, everything's taking a while, huh?
Yeah, they're drawing this thing out. Come on, baby.
Beats 2003
Nolan
when it took forever
Smith.
and we missed it.
Joey Porter.
Wasn't our fault. Yeah, I think
Brian Bruzzi.
No,
come on, baby.
No, not Brazil. Not Brazil.
I'd take that.
I'd take that too.
I'd like to stop the
Here
run.
we go.
I'd like to stop the run.
Right. I don't think the run's going to stop.
They took it all the way down a full 10 minutes before making it.
With the 23rd pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Jordan Addison, wide receiver, USC.
Your offense, which is the identity of Minnesota Vikings football, just got better. Just remember that the identity of your team is offense, and with Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, you now have a 5'11 receiver in Jordan Addison to go along with JJ, KJ, TJ, and the rest of the cast. We will react to this and await phone calls from Kevin O'Connell and General Manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. The Minnesota Vikings have selected USC wide receiver Jordan Addison with its first-round pick in the 2023 draft. Back on the Fan after this.
This is coverage of the NFL Draft on the Fan, presented by Red Savoy Pizza.
Hey, Sauce, I've got to tell you something.
Lamont, why are you here and what did you do with the Walzer guy?
Well, that's what I have to tell you.
All right.
Let's start with who the commercial's for.
Well, that's easy. It's the best Nissan family of dealerships in town. Walzer Nissan Burnsville, Coon Rapids Nissan, and Wayzata. Duh.
And?
I don't know what to tell you, other than all these guys wail. Because if I say anything like who number 1 was last month, then the guys at Coon Rapids and Wayzata might get jealous of Dan in Burnsville.
I think this is when I say, just read this.
Fine, I'll read it. The other guy was so much nicer than you. Get 0% financing for 36 months on 2023 Nissan Rogues and Altimas, plus an additional $500 Walzer Nissan bonus on any trade-in you make. Even if you have to push it onto the lot, you get $500 on your trade. Walzer Nissan Burnsville, Wayzata and Coon Rapids do things the right way, the Walzer way. Visit Walzer Nissan store in Burnsville, Coon Rapids, or Wayzata today.
0% financing for 36 months, $27 per month per $1,000 financed on approved credit.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell, dial pound 250 and say keyword great results. That's pound 250 and say great results.
It's time for the Acme Tools Spring Tool Sale this Friday and Saturday. Save 12% on your favorite power tools, machinery, and accessories from over 100 of the world's best brands. Talk shop with factory reps and try before you buy. Take advantage of our daily doorbuster deals and register to win a prize package from Ego, valued at $478. Don't miss the Spring Tool Sale this Friday and Saturday only at Acme Tools, 494 and Rockford Road, Plymouth. Do your best work.
Whether a lazy weekend spent up north enjoying Minnesota lake life, finding your favorite Juicy Lucy, or attending a music festival in the city, discovering bands that become the soundtrack of your summer. It is these precious, fleeting moments experienced together that shape us and make us who we are. Plan your dream vacation at exploreminnesota.com. Sponsored by Explore Minnesota Tourism. Aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
To everyone who craves a fresh meal made just for you, let our team member Jacob share what's special about Culver's.
In Wisconsin, our food comes from the heart, and taking the time to handcraft your meal with care is how we've always done it at Culver's. It's why your Butterburger doesn't touch the grill until after you order, like our limited time Smokehouse Barbecue Cheddar Pub Burger. We know you'll love it.
Come to Culver's and let us serve you a Butterburger made special just for you. From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious. To everyone who craves a handcrafted treat, let our team member Sephora tell you about a Culver's favorite.
We make our thick and creamy fresh frozen custard in small batches all throughout the day. And we mean all day, every day. From our supremely rich shakes and concrete mixers to our freshly scooped dishes and cones, we handcraft every bite to pure perfection. Making you a sweet treat with care is the best part of my day.
Come to Culver's and get a taste of our fresh frozen custard.
From Wisconsin with love.
Welcome to Delicious.
Spend less time maintaining your deck and more time relaxing on it with Ultra Deck. Low maintenance decking from Menards. Ultra Deck Rustic gives you the look of real wood without the upkeep. Start enjoying your deck today and get 8, 12, and 16-foot lengths of Ultra Deck Rustic decking for just $195 per lineal foot after rebate. Good through April 30th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Mother, pronounced
Mama. Mom.
Mom, where are the car keys?
She's a juggler of all things. This Mother's Day, celebrate her with fine jewelry from Shane Company. We have gifts in every price range, beautiful jewelry that'll make her smile. Not sure what to get Mom? Our classic styles make a great gift. Surprise her with a diamond necklace, an engravable locket, or lustrous pearls. Why not get her something colorful? We have an amazing selection of jewelry with colorful gemstones, from vibrant London blue topaz to sapphires in every color of the rainbow. Gold hoops are a lot of fun. She can wear them anywhere, to a soccer game or mom's night out. Shane Company's jewelry is designed by us, with attention to every detail, so you can be sure it's beautifully crafted and made to last a lifetime. Visit us for a Mother's Day gift wrapped with a bow and ready to give.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
The Wild hope to extend their season as they host the Stars tomorrow in Game 6 of the NHL playoffs. Hear it live on iHeartRadio and FM 100.3. KFXN Minneapolis-St. Paul.
The Fan.
With the 23rd pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Jordan Addison, wide receiver, USC.
23rd overall pick. It is Addison from USC. Welcome back. Ben Lieber, Pete Bursich, Paul Charchian, Paul Allen at the Delta Club here at the U.S. Bank Stadium. And I'll just get my quick little take out of the way. You guys can chop it up. The identity of the Minnesota Vikings is that of offense. And it's quite obvious the defense needs reparation and needs fixing. That's why a coordinator lost his job last year. So anytime you take something that is already very good, and the Vikings offense is good to very good at times, and you amplify it. You take your identity and you strengthen it. Supposedly, if they're right with this kid, well, that's not a bad thing. So, I didn't put a lot of time into this wide receiver. I didn't think they'd take wide receiver at 23, but they did. And it is Addison from USC. Charge?
There are things you're going to like a lot about him. He is super slippery. He runs great routes. He's productive after the catch. He's probably going to run from the slot here a lot, I think, but he can play outside. There are things that I didn't love watch. I watched 2 full games of Jordan Addison's, and he catches a lot of balls at and near the line of scrimmage, and I generally like more of a downfield receiver, but he's very productive there. He'll make the first guy miss, and he can get a little extra yardage after that catch. He's a good bubble screen player, quick slants, things
big
like
time
that.
on those screens.
Yep, and that was one of the things that he was very productive with. He was at Pitt. He was actually more productive there, went to USC. And one other thing I liked about Jordan Addison, dude scores touchdowns, despite being not a very big-bodied guy. He's got a nose for the end zone. He was very productive. And so you're getting a polished receiver that some people thought was one of, if not the best player in the draft, or wide receiver in the draft.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're all like a little bit dejected because we are all so defensive focused, but I mean, that's not to take anything away from him and his playmaking ability. The guy's a stud. Yeah. I just didn't think that that was the hole that we needed to fill at 23 because we talked about all the defensive players that are still on the board. The guy's incredibly good. I mean, he is going to be a vertical threat. He's probably more twitchy and quick than he is fast, although he did run a 4.49 at the combine, so it's not the greatest 40-yard speed, but his football speed, when you watch him on film, his football speed is ridiculous. I mean, he is going to split a lot of safeties. He's going to be it's going to be really hard for defenses to focus on Justin Jefferson. And look, I mean, for all those out there that love KJ Osborne like I do, I mean, he's still going to be productive too. I mean, we're still going to use a guy like that, in the short area. He'll run out of the slot as well. I think that he's a fantastic pickup for this offense. If our defense is not going to get markedly better from last year to this year, we're just going to outscore everybody.
Right. Now, the New York Giants traded up behind us and took Maryland corner Deonte Banks. And the reason I bring it up is we heard so much for so long about how deep the cornerback draft, how deep the corners are in this draft.
Right.
And there have been more wide receivers drafted than cornerbacks to this point. So it just shows you it can be deep. They can have the tape. The combine can work out right. When the rubber meets the road, offense in this day and age in the National Football League wins games. Defense does too, but just take a peek at that Super Bowl with Mahomes and Hurts and what A.J. Brown did for Philadelphia, the likes of Isaiah Pacheco coming in for Kansas City, and so on. So the Vikings have opted to amplify what already is good. Their offense, and Kevin O'Connell, coach of the team, should be joining us shortly.
And, I think for one of the things that I didn't watch much and concentrate much on the wide receiver group either, but with Deonte Banks, is how explosive can he be? Because outside of Justin Jefferson in the passing game, who do we have that is explosive, that can get behind a safety?
T.J. Hawkinson?
Yeah.
Maybe.
As a tight end.
Yeah.
But I'm saying as a wide receiver, if J.J. is going to start attracting attention, and we saw a lot more middle open coverage against them, a corner and a safety, that opens the other side of the field. We saw KJ Osborne get himself open a few times deep in the middle of the field, and now you're going to have a guy like Addison that's going to be respectable. And with the short passes and the whip screens and things like that, I do like that about him because JJ does a good job, but I don't think that's his thing. I think JJ is more of a down the field type receiver, so you're going to get, I think, a little bit more of the short passes and some of the underneath things to him. So my question or my thing is just how explosive can Addison be? Is he going to be a big playmaker? If you were going to have a defense and a defensive backfield that's going to concentrate on Justin Jefferson, can Addison make them pay down the field and deep?
You know, the one stat that sort of, blows my mind a little bit is, as good as he is and as productive as he is, and maybe this is lends the idea to how good of a downfield threat he is. He only forced 6 missed tackles last year. Mm-hmm. He's a slender built guy, so he's not going to catch the ball and then run over some people and break a lot of tackles. He's going to have to cause separation with his twitchy route running ability. If he can do that, he can break away. But if you get a hand on him, he's not really going to break away from that. So I do think the best way to utilize him is at and around the line of scrimmage, where you can create immediate separation, and hopefully he can you don't even have to get a hand on him, or he just goes straight vertical and just takes the top off the defense.
Yeah, this is going to be a Vikings team that's going to need to win games 42-40, and that's okay. It'll be fun to watch. We're going to play fantasy football in Minnesota, which I'm a fan of.
I understand what you're saying, but there is a new coordinator. Mm-hmm. There are players who are gone, and gone by this team's volition. I mean, maybe they didn't want Patrick Peterson back. They let Kendricks go.
Yeah.
Their Cine has been unseen, pardon the pun, and he was a first-round pick. This defensive coordinator, like Ben Lieber has said, ever since he was signed, this is the MVP free agent acquisition of the Minnesota Vikings this offseason.
Right.
Because of what needs to be done with this defense. So, I mean, I'm not going to jump up here and predict they're going to jump yardage allowed or points allowed from near the bottom to near the top. But you don't hire Flores if you don't expect to make a precipitous jump with most of the players with whom you have. They've brought in Davenport. I haven't seen much from him during his career from a sacking the quarterback standpoint, so he has a lot to prove for whatever it's worth. I'm a huge Dean Lowry fan, always have been. You go to games to play against Green Bay, you get all wound up over Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Kenny Clark, Clinton Dix, and Jair Alexander, and Dean Lowry and Tyler Lancaster steal the show. So I'm a big Lowry guy. I think he's going to help a lot. In fact, I think he's better than Dalvin Tomlinson, specifically pass rushing wise, and so on. So I understand what you're saying, but the team wouldn't, or else they wouldn't have removed Donatel, hired Flores, spent the majority of free agency bringing in these players, and they still had picks. Not many picks, but they still had picks. And, you got Brian Asamoah getting a big crack, along with Caleb Evans, Andrew Booth Jr., Asezi Otomawa, the defensive lineman from the University of Minnesota. So now we get down to, this is Kwesi's second draft. And like Ed Ingram, all right, he played every game last year, but now it's his second year. He knows what it's all about. He needs to be better. He wasn't bad last year, but he needs to be better. That's what these guys do when they draft. That's why they're paid what they're paid. And this is Kwesi's second draft. So it needs to be better than last year to help this team, and I'd have to believe defense is coming.
Well, I think they need last year's draft to pay off, to your point. Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth they've got to be major contributors to this team. And maybe that'll end up paying off this year. Let's hope so. I think they believe that that's the case.
Yeah.
And we'll have an opportunity to talk to Kwesi, and I got to believe this is a best player available sort of situation. Wide receiver was a need. It was not the biggest need.
Yeah.
I think this was a best player available pick.
O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah are not doing media for at least another hour to 90 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to wrap it up at the Delta Club. Let's get final thoughts, beginning with Pete Bursich on how the first round went overall, any surprises, and when it comes to Jordan Addison, what do you think of the Vikings pick?
Well, like I said, I like the addition, and then to me, again, it's going to be the how can he get down the field and how explosive is he going to be for this offense? Because of the tension that JJ gets, you've got to have somebody on the other side that can make him pay, and hopefully Addison is the guy to do that. And where there's some, Miles Murphy, there's something up with that, right? Miles Murphy's been sliding down the board. Nolan Smith, we know, is a great football player. Did he fit the scheme? We don't know the defensive scheme. We don't know what we're going to look like on defense with Flores. So that just kind of blurs the whole thing for us as analysts to say, yeah, this is what we want and this is what we need, and the guys that we have right now aren't good enough. I do know
see it coming at all.
Well, I'm saying I do know it's hard. It's hard to play a 3-4 when you don't have the ponies. When you don't have the guys up front to play a 3-4, it's extremely difficult. That I've learned.
Ben Lieber.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna be real honest. I mean, this came out of left field. I thought that wide receiver was a position that we could have gotten later in the draft. You can find speedy, very successful, and very productive wide receivers in the mid rounds of this draft. It sort of flies in the face of, I got to rethink of, this whole Josh Oliver trade. What sort of offense are we going to look like? I thought we were going to go a little bit more heavy. Does he immediately take over KJ Osborne's spot? That's fine. If you're even in big personnel, you need 2 wide receivers. I think as this thing boils down, they must be thinking internally that the Brian Flores effect, with the way everything that PA said about all the other pieces that we have on defense, we did pick up some free agents. We still have some young talent that maybe have a lot of promise in this new scheme that's going to be hyper aggressive. It's going to be a lot of disguise packages. We may just free up and be disruptive based on scheme alone. So if we can use pick 23, to which maybe Charge, you were saying, this may have been the best player available on their draft, both offense and defense, on their big board. If that's the case, we got one hell of a player. We're going to have an offense that's going to be a track meet down the field. That I'm excited for. And we heard so many times Justin Jefferson really struggled to figure out how to beat double teams this year. Still very productive, but it was a frustration of his through the whole season. This will take some of that pressure off.
Paul Charchian, you get the final say.
Jordan Addison's a good player. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a good player. This is not a bad pick. It does not address the defense that some of us thought we expected, but that's not a reflection on him. He is a good player who's going to be productive in this offense, and we give Kirk Cousins another weapon, and we give opponents something else that they got to figure out from an offense that can be very productive a lot of different ways.
I will see you tomorrow at Buffalo Wild Wings Eagan for the Friday football feast, and the hopes that Jordan Addison joins us at Buffalo Wild Wings Eagan. That could take place tomorrow, feast 9 to noon. For Pete Bursich, Ben Lieber, and Paul Charchian, I'm Paul Allen. We thank Eric Nordquist, along with Jared Wells, Gabe Henderson, and Brett Blakemore guiding us at the flagship FM 100.3 KFAN. Jordan Addison, a wide receiver from USC, has joined the Minnesota Vikings, complimenting JJ and TJ and KJ and Brandon Powell and Jalen Reagor, and now Addison is in that mix with Kirk Cousins and at times a highly explosive offense. Thank you very much for joining us at the Delta Club here at US Bank Stadium. God bless everybody, and go Vikings. Have a good evening.
You're listening to KFAN. We now join Fox Sports Radio, already in progress.
For them